And as you can see, it is a beautiful day here in downtown Baltimore, an ideal day for a ball game. And the umpires are even here as the Orioles and the Cleveland Indians are about to have at it. In fact, at 10 minutes before 1 o'clock, this is the scene of the umpires arriving here at the ballpark. As a result of their late arrival, the ball game itself will be delayed by about 10 minutes, and we should be getting started at 1:19 p.m. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller. We're all here, the umpires, the players, and now we are indeed ready to play ball here. The 1996 Division Series, the Orioles and the Cleveland Indians. Now, the matchups here, of course, Cleveland and the Orioles going at it, and we're talking about Cal Ripken being in the playoffs for the first time in 13 years. It's about unfinished business. Haunted by the celebration they witnessed last fall in Atlanta, an American League crown is not what Cleveland is after this year. The season is incomplete. For MVP candidate Albert Bell without the ring. For stolen base king Kenny Lofton without a championship. For a 99-win pitching staff without a celebration on the mound. Anything less than winning the series will be a disappointment. Eddie Murray knows the pain of 95, but now he has returned to Baltimore, bringing memories of a World Series win in '83 he shared with Cal Ripken. Together, they lead a team built to be a champion. Anderson's 50 home runs, Messina's 19 wins, those who have just missed, those who have celebrated. A team built to take the East, but a team for whom a wild card must suffice. A playoff series with much at stake, mostly unfinished business. Camden Yards in downtown Baltimore. For the first time, a venue for postseason play. And today on ESPN, the 1996 Major League Baseball Division Series begins. Game 1, the Cleveland Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, and we have a perfect day for a ball game. And the matchup, Cleveland and the Orioles, filled with power hitters and superstars. And the pitching matchup today, interesting as well. A couple of guys that my colleague for today certainly faced many times over the years. Charles Nagy going for the Cleveland Indians, and for the Orioles, David Wells. And Kirby, I'm sure you pounded both of these guys, right?
No, I don't think so. I think that both of these guys are pretty tough on me. But for Nagy today, I think the success for the Baltimore Orioles is going to be to make them get the ball up. He keeps the ball down and gets a lot of ground ball out. As far as David Wells going to Cleveland Indians, they're going to try to fall behind in the count and maybe look for one of them nice fastballs to drive.
Come on, you wore them out. You know you did.
Well, I don't think so.
Kirby Puckett will be with us today. Also, Dave Campbell, our ESPN colleague. And Dave, this Cleveland ball club, another outstanding ball club. 100 wins last year, 99 this year. A lot expected of this Cleveland club, though.
Yeah, and John Hart did a lot of tinkering mid-season and beyond from the standpoint they went out and got Kevin Seitzer late. He's going to help against left-handed pitching. They were 1-4 in postseason last year against lefties. They figured they upgraded their defense, too, but Jose Vizcaíno, who's supposed to play second base, isn't going to play today. He's got a bad left wrist. He'll play tomorrow when he can bat left-handed, but it bothers him batting right-handed.
All right. So, Dave Campbell, Kirby Puckett, I'm John Miller, and we'll try and keep you covered. The Orioles and the Cleveland Indians will be getting started a little bit later on here from Baltimore. Started a little bit later. Let's go down to Gary Miller.
All right, thanks a lot, John. We'll be back to you shortly, but the other
appearance, and we should be ready to play in just a very few moments. A few moments ago, the Orioles were introduced as they took their places along the first base line, and everyone was anxious to hear the reaction of the crowd when Roberto Alomar was introduced.
Cal Ripken. The designated hitter, number 33, Eddie Murray. Batting 8th, the left fielder, number 17. B.J. Surhoff. Batting 9th.
Back here at Camden Yards, and of course Cal Ripken, Eddie Murray, two longtime favorites here. Eddie Murray in his 20th season, and of course he and Ripken were introduced. They hit back-to-back in the batting order 13 years ago when the Orioles last played in the postseason. They won the World Series against the Phillies that year, and the only difference is now that they're 13 years older and they bat 6th and 7th. Instead of 3rd and 4th in the batting order. What does that mean? The umpiring alignment for the ball game: Drew Coble behind home plate, Greg Kosk at first base, Ted Hendry at second base, John Shulock is at third base, Tim Welke in left field, and Tim Cheetah will be down the right field line, a six-man umpiring crew. And again, they are all here. They arrived at about 10 minutes before 1 and are in the process of getting ready to umpire this ball game. So the game being delayed as a result of their late arrival. They had the amateur umpires were here and in place, ready to go, ready to work in their place if they had not arrived. But there they are. That's Drew Coble with the hat off. He'll be behind the plate in this ball game today. So apparently they've gotten everything worked out satisfactorily in terms of the Roberto Alomar situation, and now we're actually going to play ball.
John, there was a precedent if we would have used replacement umpires. Back in 1984, the umpires were on strike at the start of postseason. I know in the American League that series went 3 games, so they used replacement umpires that entire series. But the Padres and Cubs went 5 games. The first 4 were done by amateur umpires, and then the professionals returned for Game 5.
Peter Ueberroth, the commissioner of baseball at that time, intervened and got involved in the negotiations and wrapped them up. Mike Hargrove, the manager of the Cleveland Indians, and of course they've had a lot of success the last couple of years. 7-5 against the Orioles this year, and as you can see, a lot of runs were scored in those 12 games. 48 home runs were hit by the 2 ball clubs. So we saw some real explosive contests between these 2 very powerful ball clubs. Hargrove taking his lineup card out to home plate. The umpires arriving out there to a chorus of boos from the crowd here at Camden Yards. Kenny Lofton leads it off in center field. You see the first 6 hitters for Cleveland, all hitting better than 300. Kevin Seitzer, the DH. Jim Thome had a great year at third base. Albert Bell, an MVP quality year, 48 homers, led the league in RBIs. He's at left. Julio Franco at first base. Manny Ramirez in right field. Jeff Kent at second with Jose Vizcaino out with an injury. And Sandy Alomar, the catcher. Omar Vizquel is at shortstop, hitting 9th. That's the FedEx starting lineup for the Cleveland Indians, and they'll be facing that man, David Wells, the left-hander. And the Orioles had this set so he could pitch in Game 1, and if the series goes long enough, he'll be able to pitch twice, and they felt it was important to get the lefty in there as often as possible against this Cleveland ball club. They've had problems against left-handers, although Wells has had his own problems of late. His last 3 starts, he got clobbered all 3 times, including his final start of the year. Gave up 8 home runs in those 13 2/3 innings.
Well, Mo Vaughn hit 3 of those in his last start in Boston, and talked to pitching coach Pat Dodson before the game, and he said, you know, I just don't know what David Wells is going to show up. He said he certainly is capable, but he's been getting the ball up in his last 3 starts, especially, Kirby. And you know, when a guy that doesn't really break the radar gun starts getting it up, it's guys like you get your eyes lit up a little bit.
Well, there could be problems for David if he gets the ball up. There's no doubt about it. But he's definitely capable of shutting the team down. And like Dobson said, which David Wells is going to show up, and I think that's going to be yet to be seen in a few minutes. We'll find out.
So we're getting ready to get started here at Camden Yards, and the Orioles and Cleveland Indians about to play Game 1 of their best of 5. We'll be back with the start of the game shortly.
Take a stroll down
somewhere in the 70s, probably the mid-70s, and we're just about ready to play ball here. John Miller, Dave Campbell, and Kirby Puckett. And Kirby, welcome to the telecast. Postseason play a little bit in a different mode for you, though.
Well, no doubt about it. I mean, it's nothing like the playoffs. I mean, a lot of guys play their whole careers and don't get a chance to experience this, John. So in order for you to just be one of the guys who just get here and knowing that in a 5-game series, anything can happen and any team can win, you could probably be going on to the next step and ultimately the World Series.
And the Orioles take the field now. David Wells in charge with the responsibility of trying to shut down this high-powered Cleveland offense today. But Wells, look at those numbers, not very good. 11 wins, 14 losses, over 5 in ERA, and gave up a lot of home runs, too.
Well, no doubt about it. But anytime you get the ball up, and especially in this ballpark, the ball carries everywhere. And, you know, he's out there trying to do the best he can. He's got a tough job today. If it's offense you're looking for, you're at the right game.
One of the keys defensively for David Wells and the Baltimore Orioles is going to be their ability to keep Kenny Lofton and Omar Vizquel off base. You see Surhoff, Anderson, and Padilla in the outfield, but Chris Hoyles has only thrown out 18% of the runners, and with David Wells on the mound, the opponents have stolen 26 out of 30. So if Lofton, who has 75, and Vizquel with 35, 110 stolen bases between them, if they could get aboard, it could be a long afternoon for Hoyles, who has an arthritic shoulder.
So there's Lofton, ready to lead it off. He led the league with 75 steals. He's hitting .317 for the year. 14 homers, 67 batted in. He's not just the guy who gets on base. I mean, he's got a little pop, Kirby.
14 home runs. You can't take him for granted. You can't just lay it in there and think he's going to hit a base hit. He can hurt you.
Mike Hargrove. I remember sometime last year we ran into Jim Leland doing a National League game on Sunday Night Baseball, and he started commenting about Mike Hargrove, and he says maybe it's time that Hargrove starts getting recognition as being one of the top managers around. And I mean, certainly the bottom line is there. 100 wins last year to the World Series, and here they are again, the best record in the American League, Dave.
Kind of one of those understated guys, an organizational type guy, and they build from within with John Hart and Mike Hargrove. They're not the type of managers that call a lot of attention to themselves, and that seems to be more and more in the vogue in this day and age in baseball.
Davey Johnson, the Orioles manager, first-year manager, and of course a great track record of success wherever he has managed, in first New York and then Cincinnati. And he came here, and the Orioles underachieved for the first 2/3 of the year. Had a great stretch run to make the postseason, but he said after it was all said and done, he said, you know, I wanted this one more than I ever wanted any championship with any team. And he says, when you want something that bad, it takes a toll on you. So here we go. Kenny Lofton ready to stand in. The 1996 Major League Baseball Divisional Series ready to commence with it. The bunt, and it's popped up foul right back toward Kirby Puckett. And out of play for strike one. That's not much of a surprise to you, is it, Kirby? This guy's a pretty good bunter.
This guy can he can bunt with the best of them. As you can see, Zeal's way in at third base. He still feels that if he gets the ball down, he can beat it out.
Kind of like Rod Carew. No matter how close they came in, he still felt he could beat out a bunt.
It's a good feeling to have. I used to have that feeling a long, long time ago.
One strike the count. The curveball is foul off the left field line and back into the crowd. So quickly, David Wells is ahead of Kenny Lofton, 0-2.
Talked to Kenny before the game today, and he said in the last 2 weeks he's hit 4 balls down off his front leg and back leg, and he said he's a little tender, but he said it's not going to slow him down.
Zeal is backed up at third base now. High fastball taken for a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You see the Jugs gun rating. And Kirby Wells has got a little power. I mean, he throws hard.
He's kind of sneaky. He'll sneak up on you a little bit, kind of lull you to sleep with that curveball, and he has a great changeup too that you won't see against the left-handed hitter, but you'll see it against the righty.
1 ball and 2 strikes. And a little bit low with that one, apparently. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Key for David Wells, and Kirby talked about it earlier, staying ahead in the count. He can use all his pitches in, and the hitters won't be as aggressive. He got 0-2 on Lofton. He wants to make something happen here.
Swung at it, strike 3. He went back with a high, hard one. Lofton tried to hold up, could not do so. There is 1 away.
Well, as you know, the high fastball is the hardest pitch in the world to lay off of. I can kind of attest to it. And once you start to swing, it's kind of hard to stop, as you saw Kenny.
Too late. So he is gone, and here is Kevin Seitzer. Lofton down on strikes, and now Seitzer. Now this lineup took on a much different look to it with the arrival of Kevin Seitzer for the Milwaukee Brewers. And of course, Cleveland had been very poor against left-handed pitching, not just this year, last year as well. And that's a strike on the outside.
6 consecutive fastballs by David Wells. Didn't know if he was going to try to establish the breaking ball early and then go fastball, just the opposite in the early going.
Jugs guy got that one at 93 miles an hour. Jim Thome is on deck. And is fouled on the right field line. And quickly, again, Wells ahead, 0-2, just as he was with Kenny Lofton.
Very important for David. The far ahead he gets, he didn't have to worry about kind of guys sitting on his fastball. Now you got a chance to use all his pitches. Hopefully, won't have to use too many to get Seitzer out.
There's the curveball, and it's a base hit. Zeal made a dive for it, couldn't get to it. Kevin Seitzer all but hit that one off the ground.
He's a good hitter, man. It's kind of hard to get good hitters out, and I think he wanted to waste a pitch, but I think that was too good of a pitch to really waste. You see Seitzer reached out, Zeal playing on the line a little bit. Good try by Zeal, but Kevin Seitzer can hit.
That's called a false hit also. Cal Ripken lets the third baseman know what pitch is coming. It was a curveball, so Zeal was expecting to pull it. You saw him take one step towards the line, and he hit it to the left.
Now Jim Thome, powerful left-handed swinger, 311, 38 home runs, and 116 runs batted in. He just seems to get better and better. I mean, you look at him, big, strong guy with a big swing. He looks like the prototypical power hitter, but he's hit 300 now, 2 years in a row. Crowding the plate, and it's a called strike.
Yeah, right on top of the plate, man. He stands really close to the plate, and either he wants the ball inside, or he wants it out over the plate. I don't know how you're going to do it, but this guy seems to get the job done every time, and he's big and strong.
Well, when you get into the Cleveland Power, you stay in it for a while. There's Thome, 38 homers. Then Bell behind him with 48 homers. Then Franco, a great hitter. And Ramirez, another 30-plus home run man. And it's 0-2. Got the good fastball past him.
I think everybody who follows baseball and looks at statistics once in a while know that when major league hitters have 2 strikes on them, doesn't matter if it's 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, or a full count, they hit less than 3 or less than 200. And Wells has been 0-2 on every one of the 3 Indian hitters.
So an 0-2 to Seitzer. He threw him a curveball, and Seitzer bounced it into left field. 0-2 to Thome. Seitzer at first, 1 out. High fastball misses. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I don't know who said David Wells can't throw hard. He's throwing about 93 miles an hour. I don't know who said that's not hard.
Dobson said he didn't know which one was going to show up today, and it looks like the hard-throwing David Wells in the early going.
Hey, 93 miles an hour is pretty hard.
Well, Wells got a little extra rest. Did not have to make the start Sunday in Toronto, so he's working today with 6 days of rest. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Seitzer back to the bag at first. And again, that was an area, as Dave Campbell pointed out, in which Wells was really remiss this year. I mean, even though he's a left-hander, very poor at holding on would-be base stealers. And Chris Hoyles, with the arthritic shoulder, just is unable to throw the ball very well. And it's not been a very good combination. A lot of guys, other than big base stealers, have been running against this combination. Wells and Hoyles. 1 out, 1 ball, and 2 strikes to count. 2-2.
A lot of times managers control the running game by a set of signs, and occasionally pitching coaches call pitches. And you see Chris Hoyles looking in, and I think Pat Dobson is calling a lot of pitches early for Wells. If he gets into a good pattern, maybe they'll turn it over to Hoyles at that point.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. And again, fouled this one back out of play. Pat Dobson, a long-time Major League pitcher, now the Orioles' first-year pitching coach. Took a little heat earlier this year when the Orioles' pitching was so bad. But, of course, the Orioles made their stretch run. The pitching was vastly improved.
Yeah, one sunflower seed's a fastball, 2's a curve. Now, Pat's going through some signs there.
The sunflower system. 2-2 the count to Thome. Fastball again, popped up foul. So Thome hanging in there. Ball back out of play on the third base side. 2-2 the count.
Kirby, as a hitter, did you feel the more balls you could foul off in an at-bat, the advantage was more yours?
Well, no, not really. I usually try to put that first one in play, Dave, when I played. I went back to the old school theory. You know, that usually the pitcher was trying to get ahead of you back in the old days. And my theory was I'm going to try to get ahead of him, too. So we'd all meet in the middle, hopefully. But usually I was looking for that first fastball I could see and hopefully put it in play and hopefully not hit at anybody.
Thome, on the other hand, is a guy who always goes about as deep in the count as any hitter in the American League.
He well, it kicked off the bat. A foul tip held by Hoyle, strike 3. Tomey, who had walked 123 times this year, and he also struck out a lot too. So 2 strikeouts for David Wells. That time the umpire did not have to make a ruling on the check swing. The ball glanced off the bat. So here is Albert Bell. 311 average, 48 homers, 38 doubles, and 148 runs batted in to lead the American League. Last year, 50 home runs, and he backed that up with 48 this year. 2 men down, runner at first. Right to Zeal. And no play. Seitzer safely in the second. Albert Bell safe at first. An error to Todd Zeal.
Not a good beginning for Todd. He already got nailed on a false step on the curveball that Seitzer hit. Then he gets in between hops here. He blocked it with his body, but he couldn't spot the ball. You could tell after it hit his body, he couldn't find it. He gets his body in front of it, knocks it down, but you see him going to the left, and the ball's back to the right. And no chance to get Albert Bell at that point.
Well, I think he made the right decision by not throwing the ball. He thought that if he threw it, then he would make the situation worse than it is. So he decided to just hold on to it. Hopefully, hoping that it won't hurt him. David can get him out of the inning right here.
Well, the Cleveland Indians, one of their weaknesses is supposedly their defense. And the last couple of years, they made a lot of errors, and they tried to correct some of those problems this year with the trades they made. Baltimore, on the other hand, they could have a very strong defense, but it's the Orioles who make the first defensive miscue, and now Cleveland with a chance to take advantage of it. And here's a guy who's just been an outstanding hitter for a long time, Julio Franco, one-time batting champion, hitting .322. Right field, and it looks like an easy play for Bonilla, and that's the inning. 2 men left for Cleveland. The 50 home run man, Brady Anderson, will be leading it off for Baltimore when we get back. Johnson's ball club, the Orioles, the sluggingest team in the history of Major League Baseball. They hit 257 home runs this year, obliterating the existing record set by the Yankees in '61. And here is the lineup, and you'll notice a lot of guys with a lot of power. The FedEx Orioles lineup. Brady Anderson, 50 home runs, center field. Todd Zeal at third base. Roberto Alomar, his biggest home run year, second base. Palmeiro, first base, 4th in the league in RBIs as well. Bobby Bonilla, 116 RBIs in right. Cal Ripken, 102 RBIs. Eddie Murray, the DH, 501 career homers now. B.J. Surhoff, his best home run year. And the catcher, Chris Hoyles, with 25 homers. He hits 9th. And on the mound, 17-game winner Charles Nagy, well capable of shutting down those big Oriole bats, Kirby.
No doubt about it. Nagy's going to keep that ball down. He gets a lot of ground ball out. Got a good split finger fastball, a good slider, and got a big slow curveball too. So he's going to do his best to keep the ball down and hopefully keep it in the ballpark.
Tough to do against this guy, Brady Anderson. And you see that sinker right away. Brady, 50 homers, 110 runs batted in, a .297 average. And it's interesting, he only hit 19 of those 50 home runs in this ballpark, which is a great home run park.
No doubt about it. I'll tell you what, not a bad team. You got a leadoff guy hitting 50 home runs. That's incredible.
So keeping the ball in the ballpark against Baltimore, that's what it's all about, and that's what Nagy's got to do today. The Orioles many times this year had a hard time scoring runs if they did not hit the long ball.
Well, that's how they win ball games. They're going to try to do it today, I'm sure.
That is a foul on the first base side. John Stearns, the Orioles first base coach, picks it up. Utah Street, the corridor out there, a promenade inside the ballpark proper itself, between the big warehouse, the 19th century warehouse, the old B&O warehouse, and the right field area, lined with shops and Boob's Barbecue. And, of course, some bleachers have been added just above the big wall in right field. Line drive, headed for Boob's Barbecue. 1-0 Baltimore, onto Utah Street. Well, Brady Anderson did that more often than any player in Major League history this year. He broke Bobby Bonds' Major League record by 12 times, leading off a game with a home run, and now he has done it in his very first postseason at bat.
Charles Nagy had only given up 1 home run to the Orioles this year, and that had been Brady Anderson. He's just hit his second.
Now Todd Zeile. The fans are on their feet. They haven't finished cheering yet. A strike to Zeile, the former National Leaguer acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies in a trade just before the deadline to lock in the rosters for the postseason. Zeile had 20 homers and 80 RBIs with the Phillies. He was their cleanup hitter. And the count is 0-2, and he came here to Baltimore and had a big impact immediately. But finished in a big slump, going 1 for his last 38 to end the regular year, and only 237 average as an Oriole. Deep left field, but Bell reaches up, looking to that bright sunshine to make the catch. What about that? What about that outfield, Kirby, and the tough day when the sun shines?
Well, it's a tough day any day the sun is shining for an outfielder. It's the toughest play in the world to make.
Reception for Roberto Alomar. A lot of cheers, some scattered boos, and many even rose with a standing ovation for Alomar. And he takes ball 1. I suppose this time of year, if he's your player, Dave, the fans have one interest, that he's in there and he has a great series.
Oh, absolutely. Nagy's got to get his breaking ball down. He's hung 2 and he's gotten crushed. That's a better one there.
1 ball, 1 strike to Roberto Alomar. Had a big year for the Orioles. 328 average, 22 homers, 94 RBIs. And as usual, played a great second base. Over the middle. And deflected by Vizquel away from Kent. Although I think he would have beaten it out anyway. A base hit for Alomar.
Brady got a high curveball there from Nagy and did out of the ballpark. I tell you what, he hasn't been missing much. You get the ball up to him, put it in his zone. He's been doing one thing with it this year, and that's hitting it out of the ballpark. He's had a great year. But also, you have to remember the good thing about starting in the playoffs today is that everybody's hitting the same thing today. Everybody starts off at 0. Even the pitcher's ERA is 0.
Now here is Rafael Palmeiro, trying to bring up his average against Kirby. Hitting 0. What's the matter with him? Palmeiro did a little better than that in the regular season, though. 39 homers, 142 RBIs, 4th in the league in that category. 289 average. He's the guy kind of makes it look so easy up there, doesn't he?
His 3-word explanation. He can hit. All I can say about Rafa, he can hit.
Roberto Alomar at first. Franco on the bag with him. His brother, Sandy Alomar, the catcher, charged with the responsibility of maybe having to try and throw Roberto out.
I guess this is a dream come true for brothers to play against each other. I can't think of anything else. I know that he's got a tough job trying to hold his brother down over there, but his brother can throw too, so we'll see what happens.
And it's 2-0 out of Palmeiro.
John, we were talking last night, and the Orioles early on under Davey Johnson, he tried to make them a running team, a lot of hit and running, but the last half of the season, they didn't run hardly at all. Even Robbie Alomar, only 17 steals.
There were so many runs scored in Orioles games. So many that they scored, so many that they gave up. You just thought, hey, it's diminishing returns when you risk giving up an out. And it's 3-0 to Palmeiro. Bobby Bonilla is on deck.
There was a time in his career when Robbie Alomar thought the best pitch to steal on was 3-0. We'll see if he's in that mode today. He figures the pitcher doesn't pay any attention on that count. Again, he's only stolen 17 times this year, so he's not in that 40-50 plateau he's been in the past.
Well, that's because they've been jogging around the bases a lot around here this year. So
there he goes. He'll make it to second. Jeff Kent throws out Palmeiro, who swung away on 3-0.
Stayed out of the double play at least by running. So Robbie Alomar, figuring pitchers just don't pay attention to him, was running on the play.
The right fielder, number 26, Bobby Bonilla.
Alomar gets a good jump. Nagy gives him kind of a cursory look. Kent stays down, sees he doesn't really have a play at second, and he takes the play at first base to retire Palmeiro.
also a good thing that Roberto Alomar did was look back to see where the ball was. If he wasn't looking, might have hit him.
He had to jump over the top of it. Here's Bobby Bonilla. And he chases that pitch, and It's 0-1.
A tough pitch. I think there was a fork ball right there. As you see, Nagy try to keep the ball down and away from lefties, I think, and kind of running in on righties and then go away with his slider. So we'll see what happens.
Bonilla ended up having a fine year with the Orioles. 28 homers, 116 batted in. One of 4 Orioles over 100 RBIs this year. And of course, then Zeal had 99. Most of them were the Phillies. Alomar had 94. I mean, this club just had so much offense that it defies rational discussion. Cal Ripken is on deck. 1-0, Baltimore ahead. Alomar at second, 2 down. And the count goes to 2-1. He went to the fastball there.
One time you could get Bobby Bonilla all day long if you could make good pitches with your changeups. This year against Charles Nagy, he is 5 for 8. So he's done pretty well over the last year and a half career-wise against Nagy.
That is foul. He drilled it, but foul. Again, an off-speed pitch way out in front of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You see some scattered clouds off in the distance as we look in to the Camden Yards ballpark from down the right field line. The red, white, and blue bunting is out, a baseball tradition for the postseason. 1-0 Orioles. Alomar at second, ready to go in anything. 2-2 to Bonilla. And it's full now. 3-2. Now, first base is open. You got a right-handed hitter coming up next.
Well, he got 20-some home runs, too, so you can't hide from these guys. Wherever you go, there's home runs and RBIs everywhere, so you're going to have to face somebody.
There's the fourth ball, and he took it. Ball 4. And now he'll have to face Ripken. And Ripken actually had a long slump there, August and September, but finished up swinging a pretty hot bat.
I think it's just a matter of Nagy knowing that Bonilla has owned him. He was going to throw him the perfect pitch, either make him chase out of the strike zone or go after Ripken. Cal's hitting .278 lifetime against Nagy, so he's right at his seasonal average against Charles. But the way Bonilla's owned Nagy, I think Charles remembered that and just said, hey, hit this splitter if you want to try to get a base hit.
So this is the part of the Orioles lineup that harkens back to their World Championship team of '83. Ripken at the plate, Murray on deck. And a good fastball, knee high, right on the outside. It's 0-1. There's Roberto Alomar, got an infield single. He's at second base. And Bobby Bonilla, who walked, is at first base. And they'll both be off and running at the crack of the bat with 2 down. 0-1 to Cal Ripken. Different looking stance for Cal. Broken back. Vizquel throws him out at first base. And that ends the inning. Baltimore has gone ahead with a run in the first inning of the Brady Anderson home run. Manny Ramirez coming up for Cleveland.
Omar Vizquel has had a frayed labrum all year. Ripken hits this ball. Tomey screens off Vizquel. Omar looks to second, goes to first. It's a good thing it was Cal because you can see that throw die. He's not very strong-armed right now with that labrum.
He'll be having some surgery apparently when it's all over with and get it cleaned out. And for now, playing hurt, here is Manny Ramirez. Powerful right-handed hitter, and he loops one foul off to the right side. Ramirez came back this year with 33 homers and 112 batted in. Young guy from grew up in the New York City area, and big year last year, another big year this year. Got kind of an Albert Bell look at the plate. Crouched near the plate. And he takes outside. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1-0. The Orioles ahead of Cleveland here in the second inning. Jeff Kent and then Sandy Alomar will follow against David Wells. Wells threw mostly fastballs in that first inning. Gave up 1 hit. That one is gone if it's fair. It's tied up. Manny Ramirez. And he crushed that one. A shot down the left field line. And it is 1-1.
Both pitchers have been hurt with their curveball in the early going. Nagy gave one up to Brady Anderson, and Wells got that one up to Manny Ramirez.
The pitch looked like a fastball right down the middle. Manny can get his fastballs with the best of them. Line drive, right? One-handed, too. You see the ball. He hit the ball a long way. It's out in front and everything, and still hit it out. pitchers have a tough job today to keep these guys, keep both offenses at bay, and it's a tough job to do, but I think they can handle it. We'll see what happens.
Now Jeff Kent, former New York Met, and the curveball is low. 1 ball and no strikes. So Brady Anderson's home run leading off the first inning for Baltimore has been answered by Manny Ramirez leading off the second inning with a home run. Jeff Kent with power, but he didn't do a whole lot of hitting once he came to Cleveland. Kent with the Indians in 102 at bats, only 3 home runs, although he got his average up to 265 with Cleveland. But with the Mets, usually up around the 20 home run level.
Jeff Kent can hit a little bit. I think everybody's kind of down on his defense a little bit, but he could definitely play the game, else he wouldn't be here, that's for sure.
Playing second base today for Cleveland. Just inside with a fastball from Wells. 2-1 to Kent. You see with the Mets, he was hitting 290. But again, it was a disappointment for the Mets this year with the home runs and RBIs. 12 runs, or 12 home runs total for Kent this year. And that's a high foul back out of play on the first base side. 2-2 the count. Well, Kirby, this is a happy ballpark for you. You came here for the All-Star game. Was it 93?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was tired too when I came here, and just goes to show you that on any given day anything can happen. And I stepped up to the plate against Mulholland, hit a home run, and then hit a double later on, and was MVP of the All-Star game. It's something I never expected.
2-2 the count. Seal. And one away in the Cleveland second.
John, you mentioned the Baltimore defense. I mean, that's just been a tradition here over the last 8 years. About 55 fewer errors than any team in the major league. It looks to me like it's a wonderful infield to play on. You watch games here on a regular basis.
Well, Rafael Palmeiro and Cal Ripken both saying an excellent infield. Zeal said it was one of the best infields he played on all year when he came over here from the National League. Here's Sandy Alomar. Got a lot of Alomars here today. Sandy, the Cleveland catcher, 263 for the year, 11 home runs. He was in a slump for a good part of the season. Both he and Pena, the Indians were not getting much production from their catchers, but Sandy finished up hitting over 300 for the month of September. 1 ball, no strikes to count. 1 out, nobody on. 1-1 game. Omar Vizquel is on deck. And a fastball waved at it mid. Strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike to Alomar.
I thought the pitch was a changeup myself. It looked to be fooled a little bit. But as you can see, a tailing fastball away from it.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. Curveball is hit hard but foul on the third base side. 1-2 now to Alomar. Alomar, I saw him a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. Cleveland was coming in to try and wrap up the division against the White Sox. He says, well, hopefully we'll take care of them in a couple of weeks, and then we'll face Baltimore in the postseason, and I will kick Roberto's backside, he said. Or something to that effect. I'm not quoting him exactly on that one. Pop up, Seal, and that is shot number 2. This is just the first of a lot of baseball coming up at 4 o'clock. The San Diego Padres, who won the West, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. That'll be on ESPN. Then the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. That'll be on NBC. My colleague Joe Morgan will be there. And that's the rest of the lineup for the playoffs today. The Atlanta Braves and Los Angeles Dodgers will not get started until tomorrow in the National League. There's a fastball a little bit high to Omar Vizquel. Kirby, this guy's become a pretty good hitter. I mean, you think of him as a glove guy. 297. He hit pretty well last year as well.
Well, no doubt about it. He can definitely, everybody knows about his glove. I think he's gotten a lot better this year as far as taking pitches and getting on base in front of Lofton when he did get a chance to hit ninth. And he stands right on top of the plate, and he makes you work. I mean, if you throw it right there, he can fool you. He can surprise you with a little bit of power, too. So
2-0 to Vizquel. 2 down, nobody on. And a pop-up foul that will come back out of play. Vizquel, a little bit less of a hitter as a right-hander than as a lefty, at least this year.
I think he's a better right-handed hitter than left-handed, but I could be wrong. I think he has more power, I think, from the right side.
first time Wells got behind anybody 2-0 through the batting order.
He comes back, and it's 2-2. 1-1 in the top of the second inning.
Some guys have cousins when you're hitting. Kirby, I know you had some. Vizquel, not David Wells. 1 for 23 lifetime against Wells.
And a pop foul that will go back out of play on the first base side. Leadoff man Kenny Lofton is on deck, and he would be next.
Like I said, the good thing about today is that everybody started off batting 0 today.
Mm-hmm.
So all averages and everything are good, but you got to start a whole new average in the playoffs and the World Series.
And he curved him but missed with it. 3-2. Well, you saw those numbers. Vizquel, his average lower as a right-hander, but a little more pop as a right-hander.
Guess I was right.
Not a whole lot of pop from either side, though, when you come down to it. I mean, we're talking in relative terms here. 3-2 to Vizquel. And he walked it. This guy that David Wells has owned over the years, and he has walked him. Not a good sign, Dave.
No, he got behind 2-0 and then came back after him 2-1. But, you know, John, you were talking, and Kirby talking about, you know, your average starts all over in postseason. I mean, sometimes you expect big guys like Kirby did in the series against Charlie Leibrandt to come up big, but sometimes in the postseason, it's big surprises. Guys like Brian Doyle and Dusty Rhodes. I mean, Mark Lemke in the '91 World Series. You just never know who the hero might be.
Gene Tennis
in 1972, absolutely.
Here's Kenny Lofton, left-handed hitter. And back to the bag is Vizquel. And going with the leadoff man up and 2 down, I mean, he's got to be running now. You send him, Kirby?
I think so.
You're telling him to go now.
I'm telling him to go.
35 steals. Worst case scenario, you got Lofton leading off next inning. That's a pretty good deal. Pretty good option for Mike Hargrove.
Low risk. There he goes. And he went on a curveball, and he is out at second. He overslid the bag. Ripken kept the glove down, and Vizquel went right past the bag and got tagged out. And on that unlikely play, the inning has ended. 1-1 as we head to the second. The Orioles have Eddie Murray coming up. We're glad to have you with us. Coming up at 4 o'clock on ESPN, the Cardinals and the Padres. And Dave Campbell, I know the Padres kind of surprised people by making it to that series.
Well, they have terrific pitching, though, and statistically they had the best bullpen in all of baseball. If they have a lead late, especially with the shadows in St. Louis, they may win.
And Kirby, an old friend of yours, Eddie Murray, coming up right now for Baltimore.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and Eddie's done a lot of good things, and been a good friend of mine for the whole time I've been in the major league. So,
first ball swinging, and Murray, the former Cleveland Indian, hits one down the left field line. That one is falling, and it's a foul ball. Great effort by Vizquel, and Albert Bell really never got into that play, but Vizquel with a virtuoso performance was the closest one to it, and the Indians were glad that it went foul.
Well, we saw Ray Lankford tear his rotator cuff on a play very similar to this. Vizquel, that time, extended his left arm, and you see Jim Thome couldn't even find the ball. Vizquel, though, has the better angle. But, Omar, we did see Lankford. He tore his rotator on his throwing arm. Vizquel already has some frayed labrum on his throwing arm and almost hurt his left arm there.
Eddie Murray, he hit the last 10 of those 22 home runs upon coming to Baltimore in late July. The trade was made. Kent Merker went to Cleveland in that deal. Murray back with the Orioles. Nagy throws him out. There's one away. Murray, of course, a key man of that Cleveland ball club that won 100 games last year and had some big hits in the World Series as well. Hit a home run in the series against Tom Glavine. Had a big hit in an extra inning ball game for Cleveland. And Eddie Murray, Kirby, when you talk about in the clutch, I mean, that's Eddie Murray's career. I mean, he's been one of the best around driving in the big runs.
No doubt about it. He's been doing it for 20 years now. And I don't think everybody just expects nothing else of Eddie but the best. And he's definitely one of the best to ever play the game.
Now B.J. Surhoff, former Milwaukee Brewer. Two of the Brewers' top hitters these last couple of years in this series now with Seitzer for Cleveland and B.J. Surhoff with the Orioles. Surhoff developed some power here in Baltimore. 21 home runs, most of them in this ballpark.
BJ could hit. He could always hit. It's just he got hurt a lot when he was with Milwaukee. And if you're hurt, then there's not much you can do.
He was playing third base for the Orioles and did a pretty good job there. Then when Seal came over in the trade, they moved him to left field. There's a drive into deep right center field. This one headed for the bleachers. 2-1 Baltimore.
Welcome to ESPN's Home Run Derby here at Camden Yards today. 3 runs, 3 homers.
Well, we can't be too surprised by that based on what these teams did in the regular year. Kirby, here's a look at it.
Fastball inside, right where BJ wants it, right where any left-hander wants it, down and in, and put a good swing on it, kept his head down and put a good swing, and nothing new out of the ballpark.
So here's Chris Hoyt, another powerful hitter. 25 home runs for him this year. He's the 9th place hitter. Every man in the Orioles lineup is a home run threat. The lowest home run total of any Oriole in the lineup was B.J. Surhoff. Hit only 21.
Oh, is that all?
Boyles hits one high in the air, shallow right. Ramirez in, Kent out, and Kent takes it just in front of Ramirez. A little confusion there.
A lot of confusion. Usually, substitute outfielders make that call. Manny's coming in. I think he kind of flinched like the sun was in his eyes. I don't know if he could see it or not, but lucky Kent went out and made that play, but that was almost a disaster right there.
Well, so many times in the history of postseason with that October sky, the sun always being a little bit lower, outfielders, infielders have a lot of problems. You think back to Willie Davis in 1966, 3 years in 1 inning. I mean, that was really a struggle. Or was that 63?
66. No, 66. Yeah. The first time Baltimore was in postseason play. Here's Brady Anderson. He led off the Orioles first with a home run. Brady Anderson, kind of a student of home run lore. He knows all the names of everybody who's ever hit 50 home runs in a season. And recite them off to you, except he won't put his own name in there. Lofton into right center. And that ends the inning. Well, Baltimore's had 2 at-bats and 2 home runs. B.J. Surhoff going deep here. Lofton, Seitzer, and Tomey coming up. 2-1 Orioles.
For years I dreamed.
And there's the look from the rooftop of the B&O station down at Utah Street. Out behind the bleachers here at Camden Yards. And now I look back into the beautiful ballpark here. We've got 2 ball clubs here with great new ballparks. Jacobs Field in Cleveland, one of the outstanding new ballparks built. Coming up, 4 o'clock, Joey Hamilton and the Padres taking on Todd Stottlemyre and Tony La Russa's St. Louis Cardinals. And it'll be interesting. You mentioned Ray Langford. It'll be interesting to see what Langford's status will be for that ball game. That's coming up next on ESPN after our ball game here. And then later tonight at 8 o'clock, the Yankees and the Rangers. And that game will be seen on NBC. Kenny Lofton, he struck out his first time. A guy, despite all their power, Cleveland needs him to get on base and make things happen. It's a big part of their offense. Lofton scored 132 runs this year. And that's a strike, and it's 0-2 from David Wells. Seal again was playing very shallow at third base. Now with 2 strikes, he backs up a little bit. Two to 1. The Orioles leading Cleveland in the 3rd. Fastball missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kevin Seitzer on deck. And then Jim Tomey for Cleveland. The top of the batting order here in the 3rd inning. And he chased that high fastball. Got a piece of it this time. We mentioned what a bright, sunshiny day it is. There's the sky that the players are having to look up into whenever a ball is hit high in the air. We've seen several players have a problem with that already.
Makes a big difference as an outfielder and also an infielder when pop-ups go up. It can make it really tough to make a play.
1-2 the count. And there's one high in the air. Ripken out. Surhoff in. And Surhoff. And again, Lofton kept off the base pad.
That's going to be a huge key for David Wells. We saw with Vizquel, who had the base stolen so easily, but overslid the bag. But if Wells can keep Lofton off base, that's going to go a long ways towards helping his club win today.
I guess when you're a manager in big ball games like this, because the difference between clubs at this level is so slight, that's a manager's worst nightmare, right? The little unforeseen things that happen, like a guy stealing a base but sliding off the bag. I mean, how often does that happen? You almost never see it. Here's Seitzer, and he takes a strike. On an 0-2 pitch, he singled on a curveball in the left field his first time. He's 1 for 1.
Probably won't see that curveball again if he goes 0-2 I guarantee it.
1 strike to count to Seitzer. 2-1, Baltimore ahead. We're in the 3rd inning. And a fastball away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin Seitzer, I mean, he's been around a long while.
Something that intrigued me is that, he's been around a long while. He can hit, man. I mean, if you get a guy on second base, and Kevin's he's a prototype number 2 hitter. He's going to get that ball to right field to get that guy over and do his job, and he's always been able to do that.
2-1.
Well, again, the Indians last year in postseason 1-4 against left-handers, and they appeared all year long to struggle with them. Seitzer hit .368 against lefties this year, and that's why John Hart went out and made that deal. Tribe went 19-7 after they got Seitzer.
And it is 3-1. Jim Thome, the big left-handed slugger, is on deck. There's Thome. Zeal makes a long throw right there. Went after the 3-1 pitch, turns into an easy out. 2 men gone now with Thome coming up.
One of the key things for David Wells, first pitch strikes, 8 out of the first 11 hitters. He has gone 0-1 on.
I think he turned that pitch over a little bit on Kevin Seitzer, looking for something to really juice right there, and just took a little bit off of it, kind of faded it away from him.
Some pitchers call it a batting practice fastball. When they just know a hitter's all juiced up for that good heat, they just kind of throw in about 70 up there.
Well, I'll tell you what, it better be fading, because if it's out over the plate, he can be hurt by it.
Here's Thome. And he's hurt a lot of guys this year. 38 home runs. Struck out his first time today. And a fastball in there for a strike from Wells.
You can see Thome right on top of the plate. I mean, this guy's back foot is almost touching the back, almost touching the plate almost. Look at how close he is. Kind of tough. He's kind of inviting you to, he dares you to throw inside, I guess.
And the curveball is too low. 1 ball, 1 strike to Jim Thome. Many of these Cleveland players came up when this ball club was a bad ball club. Guys like Thome, Albert Bell, the former second baseman Carlos Baerga, Sandy Alomar, although they picked him up in a trade. He came over when they were a bad ball club. Lofton came up onto the scene when they were a bad ball club. So it's a ball club that, although it has this reputation, sort of a swashbuckling reputation of a lot of guys, a lot of guys who cause a lot of trouble. I mean, it's a very close-knit ball club in many ways. I mean, these guys have been together for a long time.
It makes winning more gratifying when you lose after a while and then all of a sudden you win. It makes it, I think you appreciate it a lot more than you do.
Charles Nagy was here in 1990, and of course 91 was the year the Indians lost 105. So they went through a lot of struggles, and I guess, you know, I agree with Kirby. Once Sandy Alomar was here, he suffered through it. I guess when you reach the point where you become successful, you finally do walk with a little swagger.
Two and two the count to Jim Thome. Anderson will have to play it on the bounce. Base hit. And that keeps the inning going for Albert Bell.
See Tome's back foot right on top of the plate, and ball inside. He's so big and strong. Just turns right on it and hits it right in the center field for a base hit. Chieftain ain't going for this guy right here who can hurt you anytime, any place, anywhere.
Albert Bell. And of course, I mean, Albert's not just a guy up there swinging from the heels, trying to pull everything. I mean, a little home run to center field, the right center.
The whole ballpark. It even makes him more dangerous.
Say when between at bats, the Indians are in the dugout. Albert will go back and Look at the video machine of previous at-bats. Trying to get a little edge against the pitcher.
Well, as a player, you want to keep that edge. Once you lose the edge, you're not going to be any good anymore. So you have to be just a little bit better than everybody else in order to keep that edge. If that's what Albert has to do to stay sharp and keep the edge, that's what he's going to continue to do.
It also keeps a book not only on every pitcher he faces, but on every umpire and their tendencies behind home plate. I asked you before the game if you did that, and you went, I'm up there hacking.
That's what I try to do. I go back to the old school, though, you know. When pitchers try to get ahead of you, you know you're going to get something close to the plate.
And a fastball for a strike on the inside. Albert didn't want to call a strikes in there.
Because he usually don't let them. Usually when you throw inside like that, he usually hits it out of the ballpark. So I guarantee Wells won't come back in there again with that same pitch.
1 ball, 1 strike to Albert Bell. 2 down, Tomey at first. We're in the 3rd inning. It's Baltimore 2, Cleveland 1. See, Albert has had some success against Wells in the past.
I think Albert's had success against a lot of people.
Less against Wells than a lot. A high pop-up. Back of 3rd. Ripken comes over. Zeal in foul ground. Zeal, and that ends the inning. Albert Bell fouls out to 3rd, leaving a man at 1st. Todd Zeal coming up, then Roberto Alomar and Rafael Palmeiro. 2-1 Baltimore. The whole tournament. And there's a called strike to Todd Zeal. Coming up at 4 o'clock. It'll be the Padres and the Cardinals here on ESPN. Chris Berman and Buck Martinez will be there to cover the action. Todd Zeal flied out deep to left his first time, and Nagy misses with 1 ball, 1 strike. Later tonight, it'll be the Yankees and the Rangers. Pretty interesting series there. David Cohn and John Burkett will duel at Yankee Stadium. That'll be on NBC at 8 o'clock tonight. And sinker misses inside. 2-1 to Zeal. Charles Nagy, the ace right-hander for the Cleveland Indians, a 17-game winner, but he has given up a home run in each of the first 2 innings. Vizquel gets to it. The throw. Not in time.
Well, again, it's very apparent that unless Omar Vizquel fields the ball cleanly, the weakness in the throwing shoulder, no chance to get Zeal. I mean, Omar at one time, when he's healthy, has a good arm. He doesn't come up with it cleanly. And then when he finally gets up, Zeal a slow runner, but he just can't get enough on the throw.
He's out there playing with sheer guts right now, and shoulders hurt a little bit. But as you can see right there, Nagy, another curveball up in the zone that he gave Zeal a chance to hit over there in the hole. And it's a good try by Vizquel, but he just couldn't throw him out.
Here's Roberto Alomar. Got an infield hit his first time. Fastball down and away. That sinking fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. Kirby, you mentioned it for the very outset. One of the keys for Nagy, getting the ball down. And
Yep.
And that's, we saw it there. I mean, that pitch was really up to Zeal. Palmeiro on deck. He misses outside of the fastball. 2-0.
Charles Nagy, a lot of people say for the Cy Young Award, and when asked about his season, he said, yes, a good year, but if I don't do well in postseason, people are going to forget how well I pitched during the season.
No doubt about that.
And it's 2-1 now to Alomar, with Rafael Palmeiro coming up next. Alomar has had a history. You see Mark Wiley, the Cleveland pitching coach, and a former Orioles pitching coach. And there's a lot of Baltimore influence in that Cleveland hierarchy. But Alomar, when with Toronto, had a history of being at his very best in the postseason. There goes Zeal. Just a dribbler. Sandy Alomar throws out his younger brother, Roberto, as Zeal takes second.
Well, again, the Orioles did not run much towards the end of the year, but we saw Alomar steal on a 3-0 count, saw a hit-and-run play there, so maybe Davey Johnson's reverting back to National League Baseball here in the playoffs.
Well, it might be a good idea, though, Dave, right? I mean, you expect, although they had all of these runs scored in the regular season, it's going to be a little tighter, a little lower scoring probably in the postseason.
Well, everybody expecting it in the National League with the great pitching staffs over there, but in the American League, wondered if they felt the same way, but evidently Davey feels it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game.
And also, you got a guy coming up with 142 RBIs. We can get him in scoring position for him.
Zeal at second. 1 out. And Baltimore leading 2-1. Palmeiro grounded out to second on a 3-0 pitch his first time.
Other people maybe with Brady hitting 50 and Cal and Eddie Jim Gentile back in 1961. And Palmeiro sets a new record.
That sinker is low.
Of course, 61 was the year when we had 8 guys hit 40 or more home runs. Would we have 17 this year? Vinny Castilla becoming the 17th to do it?
You 17 with 28 teams, and 8 that year with 18 teams. And that's a foul by Palmeiro.
Hey, tell you what, if you're an offensive-minded person, it was definitely your year to watch a lot of good baseball this year if you like offense. If you like pitching, then you probably didn't want to watch much this year.
Well, which do you like?
I like offense.
What a surprise.
Well, I mean, I think it's awfully nice to have 2-to-1 games when every sometimes, but I think people want to see action.
Seal in second. That one is hit deep and fouled on the right field line. And again, Kirby up
in the zone a little bit, yeah. He has to keep that ball down, and as you can see, when you get the ball up, he can get hurt. And but I guarantee you right now, he's going to throw that ball away from Rafi right here and try to make him pull a ground ball to second or something. Going to try to keep it down.
So the Orioles with the league record, and 2 other ball clubs broke the Yankees' old home run record as well. 2-2. Inside with the fastball up again. 3-2 the count.
Amazing thing to me, Kirby, as you watch Palmeiro, is how effortless his swing seems.
No wasted motion at all in his swing.
Bobby Bonilla on deck. Runner at second, 1 out of the 3rd. Nagy trying to hold the line here, already trailing 2-1. Into right center. Ramirez back. It's over his head and going to the wall. Zeal will score. Palmeiro with a double. 3-1 Baltimore.
You hear the word elevation a lot when they talk about Denver baseball, but it's also true for Charles Nagy at sea level basically here, because he's elevating the ball and the Oriole hitters are not missing it.
Mike Wiley on his way to the mound.
That's the pitch again, the hanging forkball it looked like, and Rafi just hit it right into the right center field gap. It was definitely up in the zone.
If you have the ball up, you've done half the job of the hitter. He doesn't have to lift. He just has to make contact.
That's right, and I'm sure if you ask Nagy about that pitch, he'd like to have it back.
Well, Palmeiro, in addition to his 39 home runs, also had 40 doubles in the regular year. And you don't get 142 RBIs unless you bring in a lot of guys when they're out there at second base.
Yeah, but you got to be fortunate to have the ducks on the pond, as they say. And had a guy in front of him that hit 50 home runs and scored 100-some runs, and a guy hit the second that also hit 20-some home runs and scored 130 times or whatever. So
here's Bonilla, and he takes ball 1. Bonilla walked his first time, and again, first base is empty, and the right-handed batting Ripken is on deck. And Bonilla, as Dave pointed out the first time, has done well against Nagy. 5 for 8 lifetime. Pickoff coming with Vizquel moving in behind Palmeiro at second, but no throw. Nagy has labored here. 46 pitches, and Baltimore really has had a very considered approach. I mean, they've not been swinging a lot of bad balls. Often against pitchers like Nagy, they did. That is a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Actually kind of tough. I bet you Wiley went out and told him that he had a base open with Bonilla, and probably told him you got to get the ball down. I bet you that's what he told him.
Good fastball on the outside. Strike 2. Bonilla did not like the call.
Fastball in, fastball away. Nagy this year has struggled a little bit against Cleveland, though. Against Baltimore, though, he has allowed 26 base hits in 17 innings. What do you think, Chris? Strike?
I'm a hitter, man. That was out. That was outside. An overhead shot.
I saw you flinch when we saw that.
Well, flashbacks. You know, I kind of get these flashbacks when I'm up here. And, but the umpire calls it a strike, and that's the good thing about baseball. If he calls it a strike, no matter where it's at, it's a strike.
Drew Coble, the home plate umpire. Ooh. All right. Now, what about that pitch then, Kirby?
Well, I've been a long time since I've seen this many pitches, so
that pitcher can't have both sides of the plate, right, Gerb?
Well, I'll tell you what, actually, that was a good pitch by Nagy. I could have sworn he was going to go away with that pitch, but he came back inside.
It looked pretty good, too.
It was real good.
And there's the splitter, but too low. 3-2 now to Bonilla.
Same count he had last time, and he threw him a 3-2 splitter down and away last time. Let's see if he changes his pattern. He's got Bonilla thinking out there probably, but he also could pound him in with a fastball.
There's Palmeiro at second. 1 out. 3-1. Baltimore ahead. Right back to Nagy. He looks Palmeiro back. Bonilla is retired. Out number 2, and now Cal Ripken is coming up. Palmeiro, by the way, you see him limping around a little bit. He's got a very bad left ankle. He thinks he hurt it against the Yankees 2 weeks ago. He's getting it treated before every game. He's getting it heavily taped before every game. But he really has been hobbling out there, and it's ugly to look at. It's all swollen. But he's not able to take the time right now to let it heal up.
No, not right now. You don't have a lot of time for healing right now. I think if you don't have anything broken, you're going to be playing in these games right here. This is when they really count.
So Ripken now with a man in scoring position. He grounded a short his first time. Alomar set up on the outside. That one came inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
You can see Nagy missing a lot. He usually doesn't miss a lot. Usually when Alomar sits it outside, he throws it outside. So his location was a little bit off today. But here's Ripken hitting again with a new stance again. Every time I see Rip, he's got a new stance for him. So
got 1,000 of them. On the outside, nice pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Never ceases to amaze me. He has success one way, then all of a sudden, if he gets 3 hits one way, he'll come back the next day and he'll change his stance. Him and Ken Herbeck were the best guys that I've ever seen to like change their stance overnight. I don't know about them, but me, if I get 3 hits, I know the next time I come up, the next game, I'm batting the same identical way that I did the night before.
And that's outside. 2-1 to Cal Ripken. Palmeiro at second, 2 down. Eddie Murray on deck.
It's going to be very important with that bad ankle of Palmeiro that he get a very aggressive lead. Manny Ramirez led the American League in assists this year. Lofton throws well in center field.
And that's foul. 2-2 now to Cal Ripken.
It's a matter of Palmeiro, not a real speedy runner to begin with, but you can still be a good base runner even if you don't have great speed. You just got to lengthen your lead out a little bit and hope maybe Sandy Alomar isn't in a throwing mode to try to pick you off. That's one thing you can't do against Texas. With Pedro Rodriguez.
He is a weapon behind the plate. Now, someone came up and off of home plate and hit him. Wonder if he'll miss a game.
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't think there's anything to keep him out of the game. I think he'll swing. He's out front of the 4 ball, comes back up and hits.
2-2 to Cal Ripken. Played now in 2,316 consecutive games. He played 163 this year. The Orioles had a tie game with Texas. Did not count in the standings, but counted as game played. 2-2. Palmeiro at second, ready to go in anything. Down the left field line into the corner. Foul. Hit that one pretty well.
Took a fastball away. It was up a little bit, too, I'm sure. Ball up again. Rip just wristed out there and just used those strong wrists of his and just fouled.
Would not stay fair for him. Look at Nagy.
Nagy knows he wants to get the ball down, and he's getting the ball up a lot.
2-2. Over the infield. Base hit. Palmeiro will score. Cal Ripken delivers another run. 4-1 Baltimore.
Well, again, watch the height of the ball. It's a blue pit. He gets jammed, but when you get the ball up, then you can fist it over the infield. If the ball's down and you get jammed, it's a little weak grounder. So, again, Nagy is up as Cal just looked hopelessly on as Cal drives in a big run.
Now Eddie Murray. 1 ball and no strikes. Murray hit a little dribbler back to the pitcher his first time. He's 0 for 1. Started the year with Cleveland and was traded to Baltimore only after Mike Hargrove announced that Eddie was going to become a platoon player for Cleveland. And that's in there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Eddie was not too pleased with it, but it showed the popularity and his presence in the clubhouse when many of his teammates were outraged at what they perceived as an insult to Murray. And it's out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes now.
Baseball is such a game of first. David Wells saw his team score first. We also talked about first pitch strike. Wells is throwing 9 out of 13 first pitch strikes. Charles Nagy, 11 out of 16 first pitch balls. He's getting behind in the count, and that makes hitters a lot better.
That's off the outside, 2-2. Cleveland has the bullpen up now. Right-hander Danny Graves, a rookie, has started warming up in the Cleveland bullpen. We're only in the 3rd inning. This is not what Mike Hargrove had in mind. Ace right-hander Charles Nagy giving up 4 runs and 6 hits. We're only in the 3rd. Right to Franco at first base, and that will retire Murray and the Orioles. But 2 more runs for Baltimore. 3 hits. Franco and then Ramirez coming up.
Now,
Game 1 of the American League Division Series between Cleveland and Baltimore continues now. Top of the 4th inning. The Orioles 4, Cleveland 1. John Miller, Dave Campbell, and Kirby Puckett here with you. Joe Morgan will be back with us tomorrow. He's working the Yankee Ranger game tonight for NBC. That's an 8 o'clock telecast at NBC. Coming up after our ball game, the Cardinals and the Padres will get underway in St. Louis at about 4 o'clock. And here's ball 1 to Julio Franco. By the way, because of the delay here without the umpires being present, we had a delay here getting started. The starting time for game 2 of our broadcast day, the game in St. Louis will start now at 4:25, we've been informed. Here is Julio Franco with a 1 ball, 1 strike count. He flied out to right his first time. And then Manny Ramirez, who homered, is on deck. Jeff Kent due up 3rd. David Wells goes to work now with a 3-run lead. But it's only the 4th inning, facing one of the most prolific offensive ball clubs in the game, the Cleveland Indians. Franco lost the bat, and it hits the roof of the Cleveland dugout 3rd base side as he fouled that ball, and the fans in the box seats and his own teammates were glad that it hit the roof.
So was I. The fans in the front row are going, thank you so much. Well, as you know, Franco holds the bat. He holds down on the knob, and he only holds it. He's so strong with his only 2 fingers and his thumb. That's it. He doesn't have the ring finger and the little pinky holding the bat. So he's pretty strong, and he's holding it. He's pointing it at the pitcher, and therefore slipped out his hand that time. Pretty long and heavy bat, too.
Fastball away. Full count now to Julio Franco. Or I beg your pardon, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Julio Franco. Nagy, as Dave was pointing out, has started behind almost every hitter. Wells has started ahead of most of the hitters on his side. That's a high foul. It will go back out of play, and the count is 2-2.
John, we talk about this can be such a complex game, but when you break it down to its simplest element, if you score first, if you retire the first batter in the inning, and you throw first pitch strikes, you're going to win about 90% of the time.
Too simple for me. Roberto Alomar in second, drops it, picks it back up. Plenty of time. Franco's had hamstring problems all year long, not running well, so Alomar had more than adequate time to recover and throw him out there. 1 down. Well, one thing is Cleveland, I know these last couple of years, been a great comeback ball club. Last year in particular, and this Baltimore club has had many tremendous comebacks this year.
Maybe their biggest one was 51-52 on July 28th, and they were 10 out behind the Yankees. They'd been swept after the All-Star game. That's not just a game, that's a season they came back from.
Ended up 12 back of the Yanks almost by the end of July, and eventually got as close as 2.5 before the Yanks picked it up at the end, took a series from the Orioles 2 weeks ago in New York, and won the division. The Orioles came back to gain the wild card berth. Ramirez, who homered his first time, and he shoots one right past Wells. He is 2 for 2, a base hit for Ramirez. 4th hit for Cleveland. Dave Nelson over to talk to Manny Ramirez at first base.
We saw how Charles Nagy squares off. He's a good fielding pitcher. Wells falls off the mound. You can help yourself if you can field your position, but if you fall off that mound, you're going to be in trouble.
I think on that play right there, good field or not, I just thank God I didn't hit him, because that would have hurt right there. That ball, even your best fielders wouldn't have caught that one, I don't think.
Yeah, John, one guy who's not even on the Orioles postseason roster, Rick Kripke, may have pitched the biggest game all year for Baltimore. Not only did he win, but it allowed Davy Johnson to go back to that, 4 full days rest.
This past Wednesday, the Orioles had been stumbling. They were in Boston facing the red-hot Red Sox, and Kripke, the young lefty, got charged with pitching a very big ball game, and he pitched beautifully, and they won the game. Seen right here on ESPN, 6-2 last Wednesday night against the knuckleballer Tim Wakefield, and many really thought ahead of time it was the biggest game of the year, and he came through beautifully. But he's not on the postseason roster. He wasn't active when the rosters were frozen at the end of August. The Orioles then clinched the wild card on Saturday in Toronto, enabling Wells to make the first game start here. And it's a strike to Jeff Kent. Grounded to third his first time. 1 out, 1 on, 4th inning. 4-1 Orioles.
We talked at the beginning about how on paper everything looked like Cleveland in this game. Their best pitcher, Nagy. Wells has been struggling terribly, but this would be a tremendous lift for the Orioles if Wells could give him 6 or 7, and then Davy Johnson can utilize that 8-man bullpen and get the matchups he wants. He's got a lot of lefties and righties down there, so they're going to be specialists in the series.
The Orioles bullpen much behind group much of the year. Rocky Coppinger there, number 27, was a starter in his rookie year. And he's out in the bullpen now as well. They give them 8 men out there. Up and into Kent. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sandy Alomar is on deck. And there's Davy Johnson doing a little extracurricular reading. Well, he's got the lead here. Now that's relaxation, Kurt.
Doesn't look too worried to me. I think that even losing, I don't think he'd be reading that, I don't think.
Wells has always done well against Cleveland. That is a fair ball. Headed for the left field corner. Surhoff up with it. Kent heading for second. In there with a double. Ramirez stopping at third. There's a long way to go yet in this ball game, and if you're the Cleveland Indians, you might well look at it. Well, they've only got a 3-run lead against them. I mean, Cleveland scores a lot of runs.
What a pitch from Wells. Good pitch, fastball inside, right where Kent wants it. Put a good swing on it and didn't hook it enough. It just stayed fair by plenty of feet, plenty of room down there, and got a double out of it. I mean, it's only the 4th inning, man. This game got a long way to go, and I think it's going to be a lot more runs scored than people think today. But we'll have to stay tuned and watch.
All right, well, we'll stay.
Okay,
you stay and we'll stay.
I'll stay.
We've got a commitment now. Herbie will stay the rest of the day. 1 out, runners at second and third. Here's Sandy Alomar. And it's ball 1. Suddenly, Wells not starting ahead of every hitter.
Looking a little tentative after that shot by Ramirez back through the middle, and then fastball Kent turned on very well.
Omar Vizquel is on deck. The infield stays back, normal depth. And a pop foul off the first base side. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Radar reading at 91, so Wells still has good pop on the fastball.
ESPN in the postseason, and we'll have you covered through the postseason. Back here in Baltimore tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Have a ball game from Dodger Stadium at 4 o'clock tomorrow, as well as coverage by NBC and Fox in the primetime hours. That is a base hit. Sandy Alomar over the head of brother Roberto. Kent will be held at third, but with the high throw by Bonilla, good base running. Sandy Alomar takes second base.
That's a bad throw there by Bobby. As any outfielder knows, what you're supposed to do is hit the cutoff man, and I think what he tried to do was hit the cutoff man and maybe do a little bit too much, but let Alomar get in scoring position. I think he should have just kept
No, especially with the 2-run lead after the runner scores, you got to keep the double play in order.
Double play in order, that's right.
Bobby Bonilla comes in. He makes a good play in the half hop. But when Sandy Alomar sees this ball airmailing Rafael Palmeiro, wisely goes to second, and Hoyles has no chance. Look at Sandy. He reads that right away with a high throw.
What you taught us when you hit the ball like that, and if the outfielder doesn't hit the cutoff man, and just keep going. And Bobby's hoping right now that it doesn't cost him, but a base hit right here can tie up the game.
That's right, so now both men in scoring position. Omar Vizquel, the hitter. Zeal shallow at third. Palmeiro pulled in at first. The middle infielders are deep. And that's a foul out of play. Vizquel walked his first time. Now, had Bonilla hit his cutoff man and held Sandy Alomar to first base, they'd be in a spot where a double play would end the inning.
No doubt about it. That drives managers and coaches nuts right there, that play that Bobby just made. But you know what? You have to understand is that we're all human, and it's happened to all of us that actually got a chance to play the game at one point or another.
Don't tell me, Kirby. Tell him.
No, I'm not telling anybody
Tell
anymore.
Davey.
I don't play anymore.
Davey is not too clean. There's strike 2 to Vizquel. Remember, Vizquel only 1 for 23 in his career against David Wells. Jeff Kent at third base. Sandy Alomar at second base. There's Kent. And there's Sandy. A base hit to the outfield could tie this game. 0-2 to Vizquel. Kenny Lofton is on deck. Inside. 1-2 now.
But you can see Wells trying to pound Vizquel in, I think, trying to keep the ball in on his hands, maybe.
It's always an important inning, too, after your team has extended the lead. The Orioles came in 4-1 going to the 4th. Wells doesn't want to give it right back here. That's discouraging to his team.
Wells still peering in at Hoyles. Now Vizquel backs away for a moment. Wells has now thrown 70 pitches, and we're only in the top of the 4th inning. 1 out. The swing. The appeal, no, says Greg Kosk, the first base umpire. 2-2 the countdown.
Well, the rule of thumb always on a switch hitter who doesn't have big power, and Vizquel fits that mode. He's got some, but you pound them in, especially with 2 strikes, because they're trying to find a Greg Kosk.
See if he stays in on him right here, or he tries to go away from him.
Get at third base. Sandy Alomar at second. He went away that time, and Vizquel hits it foul into the second deck. 2-2.
Haven't seen much of David Wells' changeup today, which he has one of the better ones. This primarily gone probably about 75 to 80% fastballs this afternoon. I don't know that you'd want to throw a changeup to Vizquel unless you think you've really got him to speed up his bat with all the fastballs you've thrown him.
That fastball, and he hit it hard but foul.
I got to see changeup here. He threw a fastball. Omar opened up. Kirby, you're shaking your head no, but I think you've got his bat speeded up a point. If you can go down and away with a changeup, you can get him.
Well, you might have a good point, but what if he throws the changeup and then he hits it hard, so he makes mistakes and hangs it? I think that right here he should go with his best pitch to get Omar out, and I think he's going to come back inside right here. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but let's see what happens.
Fastball, but away. 2-2.
Yeah, there's 2 rules of thought. I mean, you never want to do what you call a punch and Judy, although I think Omar has become a little better than that with that 297 average. You don't like to throw them soft stuff, but if they start turning to whipping your best inside fastball in the seats down there, then you got to maybe rethink.
297. There's no such thing as a punch and Judy at 297.
Kent at third, Alomar at second, 1 out. And again, he punches it foul, speaking of which. 2-2 the count to Omar Vizquel.
Still think he's going to come inside here at some point. I don't think he's going to go throw a change up there. I could be wrong.
Well, he certainly hasn't shown any inclination to.
I think he's going to go back, coming back inside right here.
Sets up inside. Inside fastball, popped up, foul. Hoyles coming back, but it is in amongst the spectators. 2-2. There's Kent. With one out, he hit a double. There's Alomar, who then singled home Ramirez and took second himself on Bonilla's ill-advised throw all the way through to the plate. Wells has thrown 22 pitches in this inning, and every one of them a fastball. Not just to Vizquel, but to everyone. Vizquel is the 5th batter of the inning. 1 run in, 4-2. The Orioles leading the Indians. And again, fouled away.
John, Pat Dobson, we told you before the game, said that he wondered what David Wells would show up. David Wells thinks he's Sandy Koufax today.
Well, right now he's going with his best pitch, and that seems to be his fastball. I don't think he has a lot of confidence in his breaking ball. He really doesn't want to hang his breaking ball right here in this situation. So I'm going to go with continually thinking that he's going to keep pounding him inside and hopefully can jam on Ty Omar up here.
2 men on, 1 man out. Right field. Tagging at third is Kent. Shallow right, Bonilla. Kent's going to test it. The throw. And Hoyles misses it. Holding at second was Sandy Alomar, and it is 4-3 for the Orioles. Bonilla's throw got one of those in between hops, and Hoyles couldn't handle it.
Bobby Bonilla sets up very well on this, gets all the momentum coming towards the plate. They've got him. If Hoyles can come up with this throw, but it hit a little bit too close to him and can't in.
That's a tough play for a catcher, but Hoyles probably should have came up with that throw right there.
Davey Johnson watching the play as it happened.
Good play by David Wells to be bagging up on that play also.
So 4-3 now. Here's Lofton, and a base hit could still tie them to the ball game. And that one is caught by Ripken. Hit hard by Lofton, but Ripken was there. So Cleveland draws back to within 1. 4-3 Baltimore. ESPN's coverage of the 1996 Divisional Series continues now from Baltimore. It is 4-3 for the Orioles. And at least in the early going here, we're only in the last of the 4th inning. Looks like one of those typical Orioles-Indians games. A lot of offense as B.J. Surhoff fouls one away against Charles Nagy. 1 ball, 1 strike. Surhoff homered. You saw that home run swing there a moment ago. Brady Anderson also a home run for Baltimore. Ramirez has homered for Cleveland. Surhoff, the 8th place hitter in the order. Hit .292 in the regular year. That one's just off the corner. 2-1. He'll be followed by Chris Hoyles. And then leadoff man Brady Anderson for Baltimore. 4-3 for the Orioles. Both pitchers have labored here in the early innings. Lofton into shallow center field. And that is out number 1. So Surhoff is gone. Now Hoyles will come up. The umpires are here. The regular Major League umpires. They arrived at the ballpark about 10 minutes before 1 o'clock here at Camden Yards. Drew Coble is the crew chief. And apparently, as we understand it, that there is no agreement between the umpires in Major League Baseball. No injunction has been issued, but the umpires have agreed to work today and tomorrow. Today and tomorrow only at this point. They've talked about having a hearing regarding Roberto Alomar's status this Thursday. As strike 1 to Chris Hoyles. So at this point, the umpires will work all the games today and tomorrow, and then supposed to be a hearing on Thursday, and then hopefully a decision will be made, and games will continue. Back in 1972 in the American League Championship Series, Campy Campaneris, the Oakland A's shortstop, threw a bat at Laren LeGros, Tigers pitcher. Campaneris got a 10-game suspension. However, most of it was served the next year. But the series then moved from Oakland to Detroit. Hoyles got hit by that pitch. Brushed him on the shirt, apparently, so he'll go down to first base. And Brady Anderson will come up.
John, I'm just wondering if maybe they would have given Roberto a longer suspension than 5 games, that maybe it wouldn't have been such a big issue. I don't know. I mean, we remember Pete Rose getting the 30 games for bumping Dave Pallone, and I mean, guys are getting 10 games for having a tack in their glove or a cork bat. This seems a little more serious than that to me.
Yeah. I mean, plus the suspension. I mean, they give the suspension. The players have a hearing if they appeal it. And then suspensions often get made into a smaller period of time. That was the case with Albert Bell when he was caught with a cork bat a couple of years ago. Anderson in the left field, but there's Bell with a slide and a catch. That one was falling quickly, and Albert got to it. Nice play. 2 down.
But he always talks about average bat. I guess it shows right here that has a glove also. That ball slicing away from the left field, coming off Brady's bat, and you see it dying, and all of a sudden he speeds up right here, sees it dying. It's a good play by Albert.
Yeah, the key was he got a terrific jump on the ball. So Albert takes a base hit away from Brady Anderson. Big out here in the 4th inning.
But in 72, as you see Zeal, with Oakland heading to Detroit, they decided that for Campanera's own safety, he should not play in Detroit. I mean, he had picked up a bat and thrown it like a sledgehammer at Laron LeGros. But then Oakland made the World Series. Campaneris played the whole World Series, and the rest of his 10-game suspension was served the following year. And baseball's contention is that players don't serve these kind of suspensions in postseason because it's more of a penalty to the team rather than the individual. But again, I'm with you, Dave. I think if they'd made the penalty more severe in the first place, even though it was appealed and held off till later, that this might not have happened. There's a base hit for Todd Zeal. Boyles to second base. And that keeps the inning going for Roberto Alomar.
As Kirby said, you start your batting average over in postseason. Todd Zeal was 1 for 38, 2 for 3 today.
And the Cleveland bullpen is going to get busy again. And for that matter, the Orioles bullpen is busy. Alomar has an infield single, and he has bounced out in front of the plate. A slider from Nagy for a strike.
Pretty big play by Albert Bell now, especially with the hit by Zeal.
Every play is big in these games, guys. You know that, don't you?
0-1 the count to Alomar. Nagy lost it, regains it, and throws him out. And Nagy, after Cleveland had come surging back into the game, shuts down the Orioles. Seitzer, Thome, and Bell coming up. 4-3 Orioles.
This college football
Top of the 5th here at Camden Yards, Baltimore.
Well, we talked about David Wells falling off the mound. Watch Charles Nagy's feet. When he lands, he's going to really help himself as he fields this ball back to the middle. Saves a base hit and a run. He fielded 1,000 this year, but look how his feet are squared off, and then he makes the play on Roberto Alomar. You can't do that if you're falling off the mound. So Nagy helps himself. No way does Vizquel get to that ball.
David Wells, who really labored hard in that 4th inning, comes back now with a 1-run lead. And the Orioles bullpen is busy. Kevin Seitzer at the plate, then Jim Thome and Albert Bell. The power coming up for Cleveland here in the 5th inning. And that's a foul back to the screen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rocky Coppinger, the big Orioles rookie right-hander. Won 10 ball games, mostly as a starter. Only appeared 1 time as a reliever during the season after being called up. He's in the bullpen now. The Orioles will most likely go with 3 starters in this 5-game series, or best of 5-game series with Cleveland. Seitzer 1 for 2 in the game. Fastball, a call, strike 2. Wells has now thrown 81 pitches in this game. So you see it's almost all fastball. 7 out of 8 have been fastball. What's that? 85 to 90% of his pitches have been fastball.
Guess he figures with that extra day, a couple of days rest he had, plus he was getting shelled his last 3 starts, it was time to revamp.
It's funny, though. I mean, you talk to a guy like, say, Tommy John, who had the great sinker. Scott McGregor used to be with the Orioles. They tell you, many games, they throw 90% fastball, but their fastballs were sinking and moving and diving. I mean, he's just throwing a good live fastball. And he struck him out with a fastball.
You don't see Seitzer swinging many high fastballs, but coming from Wells, you know, coming from right-handed hitter to left-handed and got those 90 miles an hour, it's kind of hard to lay off that pitch. Once you make up your mind to swing, it's kind of tough to stop in the middle.
Third strikeout for Wells, but his first since the first inning. The last guy he had struck out was this guy, Jim Thome, back in the first. Thome then singled in the third. He's 1 for 2. One out, nobody on. Fifth inning. Orioles 4, Indians 3. Left center field. Surhoff. 2 men gone. He had a long run for that one, but he got there. That brings up Albert Bell.
When we talk about Albert Bell keeping a book on hitters, it appeared on the 1-0 pitch last time. Bell was looking away to try to go to right. He was fooled, but the next pitch, he said, "You're not getting back in my kitchen again." But that's a pitch that Albert usually hammers. He popped that one up.
David Wells with a 1-run lead, now facing one of the great sluggers in the game today, Albert Bell. Albert safe on the error by Zeal in the first inning, and then he fouled out to Zeal in the third inning on that last swing we just saw. So Albert is 0 for 2. 2 down, nobody on here in the fifth. Wells has not had a 3-up and 3-down inning yet. Neither, of course, is Nagy. Nagy just finally kept Baltimore from scoring for the first time in the fourth inning.
John, also, talking to you last night, you said B.J. Surhoff did a nice job in left field. He got a terrific jump there. That was a big play.
He's played a lot in the outfield in the past with the Brewers. He knows how to move out there. Albert Bell. And that's low. 1 ball, no strikes.
What do you think Albert's looking for? Something in or away? I know he's looking to drive one somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I think he's looking for something right down the middle of the plate here, but Wells going to do his best not to try to lay it down the middle. Try to stay out of his zone a little bit. And maybe keep it away or run it hard inside.
There's a curveball. We thought he'd never throw another curveball.
Well, we said the Seitzer on 0-2 pitch, he'd never see that again, but Albert hasn't seen that today, so that's a new pitch for Albert. See, just a little something to get him to take a look at and think about maybe as a hitter, but Albert has his mind set. He's looking for one thing here, especially heading to count 2-0, trying to get something to drive.
Broken bat, Zeal. Over the focus of the ball as the backman hurtling down the third base line. 3 up and 3 down. We're halfway through it. Palmeiro, Bonilla, Cal Ripken coming up. Orioles 4, Indians 3.
Carl, I got to get this thing done.
3 hours yesterday. I'm done.
And I plan on traveling around the country for the first semester.
Bulging disc,
With all
gotta
the
go.
opportunities in front of me, I want to try and do some speech, motivational speeches.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. I really got to get this thing done. Larry, I'll be right back. You can just hold Carrie for just 1 second. I got to go to the bathroom, Gary. Is that okay with you?
No.
Hey, Brett, Chris, guys. Guys.
4-3 Orioles, game 1 of the division series. The Orioles and the Cleveland Indians. John Miller, Dave Campbell, and Kirby Puckett, who was just recognized by stadium announcer Rex Barney here at Camden Yards and received a standing ovation from this Orioles crowd as Rafael Palmeiro stands in, takes outside ball 1. But Kirby, you never got a chance to make your farewell tour like guys who retire from the game.
Well, no, I didn't get a chance, but you know, that's irrelevant to me. I don't have to do that. You know, I feel as though when I played the game, I played hard, John, and that's what I live with every day. I mean, when I played hard every single day. So therefore, that's what keeps me going every day.
Well, and they appreciated that, I think, in cities all around the game, and they certainly appreciated it here in Baltimore, as evidenced by this ovation he just received. Very nice. And Rafael Palmeiro, Bobby Bonilla, and Cal Ripken looked up as well, and
all my
offered their
buddies.
greetings too.
All my buddies, see, they come to my tournament in the wintertime, see, it's in November, so they talk a lot. I talked to them before the game.
Palmeiro, fly ball into left center. Lofton is over. And Palmeiro is retired. Kirby Puckett was recognized on the stadium announce system and acknowledging the cheers of the crowd. The whole ballpark stood up, cheered Kirby, and everybody, their attention directed this way.
Look at the bright side, too, Kirby. You're getting better looking every day.
I thank God every day I don't get paid for my looks, Dave. That's the truth. I'd never eat.
Is Bobby Bonilla. And it's a foul. Bonilla has walked to get him back to the pitcher.
While you look on that pitch, the ball turned away from him, he's still trying to pull the ball.
4-3, Baltimore ahead. Last to the fifth. Well, he's chased a bad one there.
Well, I've never chased a bad one, so I don't know what you mean. That's the hardest pitch in the world right there to lay off of, though. I'm telling you, as a hitter, it's a high fastball.
One of those Bible hitters. Thou shalt not pass. You are hacking.
Well, that's what I got paid to do, Dave. You know, when you get paid to do a certain thing, that's what you do. And I knew my job was to drive in runs, and I played, and that's what I tried to do.
1-2 to Bonilla. And 2-2. Both Nagy and David Wells trying to settle in a little bit here. Both shaky in the early innings. Nagy allowed 1 run in the first, 1 run in the second, and 2 in the third. But he set the Orioles down, stranding 2 in the fourth. And he strikes out Bonilla. That is his first strikeout of the game. That's Charles Nagy's first.
Finished 10th in the league this year with 167, so it is a little bit unusual. It looked like he finally started to get the ball down, especially to Bonilla in that bat.
2 down, now Cal Ripken. Now Cal drove in the run that has the Orioles leading right now. A 2-out single to left in the third, just over the head of the shortstop. He is 1 for 2. Up the middle. He is 2 for 3. Hit number 8 for Baltimore against Nagy. And it keeps the inning going for Eddie Murray.
See, Dave, what's wrong with that swing by Cal right there? He went up there and swung at the first pitch.
Right.
Low. Pitch was low, too. Right where Nagy wants it. It's a good pitch, but you got to give a hitter credit sometimes. And right there, Cal hit it right back up the middle.
So Cal at first, and here's Murray. Eddie Murray, 40 years old. How much has he slowed down, Kirby?
Well, I think over a period of time, we all slow down a certain amount. But Eddie's still capable of hitting 20 home runs a year, even though he's 40 years old, 20 or more. So I don't think he run like he used to and things like that. But neither can none of us here at the ballpark. I mean, the younger you are, you got a lot of energy. But when you get older, it's just the way it is. It's inevitable. It happens to all of us.
You know, John, the 3,000 hits and the 500 home runs, so impressive. But I look at the one number, 75 RBIs at least 20 consecutive years. That is run production.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. And he set a record for that. I mean, 20 consecutive years. Hank Aaron did it 19 consecutive years. That had been the record. And Murray was proud of that because there had been years interrupted by strikes where he didn't get the full season to drive in runs and still kept the record going.
That shows the one thing, consistency.
Jeff Kent throws out Murray. Murray now 0 for 3. Julio Franco and then Manny Ramirez coming up for Cleveland. 4-3 Baltimore. Our Chris Berman and that ball game. The Padres and the Cardinals coming up at 4:25. Remember, a 4:25 start. A little bit later than originally scheduled. And the Boomer will be there along with Buck Martinez to provide coverage. And of course, we've got the rest of this one from Camden Yards for you. And then later tonight, the Yankees and the Rangers, and that will be seen on NBC television starting at 8 o'clock. Here is Julio Franco. Line to right, ground to the second, facing David Wells. And that's a called strike. We've got a Boomer here at ESPN, Chris Berman. And David Wells is the Orioles Boomer. Every guy named Wells, the nickname is Boomer, isn't it?
That's what it seems like.
Or Digger.
David Wells in the 6th inning now. He just had his first 3 up and 3 down inning. Franco the hitter, Ramirez on deck. Franco chases one. 2 strikes the count.
Both pitchers starting to rebound from some shaky innings. Nagy, last 2 innings, is throwing 7 out of 9 first pitch strikes. And Wells, after a very tough 4th inning, came out and retired Seitzer, Tomey, and Bell in the 5th. One and 2.
shutout innings after really struggling the first 3. That's true. He's been throwing strikes. He was off the first 3 innings. And the Orioles took advantage of it. Brady Anderson, B.J. Surhoff home runs for Baltimore. Palmeiro and Ripken RBIs. Ramirez a home run for Cleveland. Alomar and Vizquel RBIs for Cleveland. The Indians with 1 in the second, 2 in the fourth. The Orioles 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third. 4-3 for the Orioles. We play the 6th. 1-2 the count. Broken bat. Ripken at short. And there's 1 away. Franco ran pretty well on that one.
Just amazing as you watch Cal. He knows every hitter in this league so well. He knows just how much he has to put on the throw at any given time. Kirby probably ran down there a few times thinking you're going to beat one out against him, and the old half step got you.
Well, yeah, that's the way he plays. But, I mean, you still have to go down there hard just in case. You know, accidents do happen, and he doesn't make many. That's why he plays every day.
Cal Ripken with 14 errors this year, but not every day at shortstop. For a week, he played third base for the Orioles for the first time since 1982. And then right back to shortstop. Ramirez, a homer and a single, but this was a pop fly. Bonilla. 2 men gone. 2 down, nobody on. Coming up Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. It's opening night action for the National Hockey League for the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche taking on the St. Louis Blues. The Avalanche led by playoff MVP Joe Sakic and their outstanding goaltender Patrick Roy. That's the Avalanche and the Blues Friday at 8 Eastern right here on ESPN. Patrick Roy.
Nice.
Come on. Jeff Kent. He has grounded to third, and he has doubled as part of that Cleveland 4th inning rally. First ball swinging. High in the air. Shallow left center. Surhoff. And that makes 8 in a row retired by David Wells, and only 6 pitches thrown in this inning for him. Surhoff coming up for Baltimore. The Orioles ahead. From downtown Baltimore, Camden Yards. Division Series, Game 1, the Indians and the Orioles. And Baltimore leading 4-3 as we go to the last of the 6th inning. Coming up later, actually now a 4:25 start. The Padres and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium. Joey Hamilton, Todd Stottlemyre at 8 o'clock tonight from Yankee Stadium on NBC. The Rangers with John Burkett, the Yankees, and David Cohn. And then tomorrow, we'll be right back here. Joe Morgan will be back with me at 1 o'clock Eastern. The Indians and Orioles on ESPN. The Braves-Dodgers play Game 1 of their series at 4 Eastern on ESPN. And then the Rangers and Yankees Game 2, and that will be seen on Fox tomorrow night at 8. Here's B.J. Surhoff, and he looks at a called strike from Charles Nagy. And as he was not doing in the early going, Nagy is starting hitters with strikes now.
Well, we brought it up earlier. 5 out of the first 16 hitters he faced were first pitch strikes, 11 not, and now he has gone 8 of 10 getting ahead of the hitters.
And it changes a lot of things. All of a sudden, the last couple of innings, seems like we've seen the Orioles swinging at more bad balls, looking a little more impatient, but they're behind when they're swinging at these pitches now.
I might have even hit 250 if I had a 2-0 count on me all the time.
He got it. Nice play by Nagy. So Surhoff now 1 for 3 has one hit, a home run back in the second.
Well, again, Charles Nagy, you can help yourself win ball games if you can field your position. He has not made an error all year, and he already saved 1 run. Got his hop out of the way. Technically very sound on that play.
And Nagy has now thrown out 4 runners. So he's been busy out there. Here's Chris Hoyles, right-handed hitter, has popped to second, and he's been hit by a pitch. The 9th place hitter in the Orioles batting order, Brady Anderson, the leadoff man on deck. Fastball too high from Nagy. 4-3, Baltimore ahead. The Cleveland bullpen is very busy here as we play the 6th inning. Charles Charles Nagy, the last couple of innings, seems to really be settling in now. But so, too, has David Wells the last couple. Slider in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike.
John, for whatever reason, people who watch pitchers on a regular basis say the guys that throw sinker balls usually finish in an excellent fielding position. The power pitchers are the guys that usually end up falling off the mound. They have to put so much more into their deliveries.
2-1 now to Hoyles. In the bullpen, the right-hander is Paul Shuey, and the left-hander is Alan Embry, and both are real hard throwers. 2-1 to Hoyles. And that's too low. Pretty good eye layoff that one. 3-1.
Real good eye. I think his eye even gets better right here. I'm sure Hoyles is up here in this situation. They're hitting the count 3-1. He's looking for a fastball right here he can drive.
He got one. Is it going to stay fair? Foul ball.
Well, he got what he was looking for. It's a little bit out front.
This one was pretty close. Here's a look.
Just missed.
3-2 to Hoyles. 1 out, nobody on. In the last of the 6th. And the forkball, did he swing? No. Greg Foss denying the appeal. So Hoyles gets the one-out walk. That's the second walk allowed by Nagy. And it will bring up Brady Anderson. Now Anderson, since his leadoff home run in the first inning, has flied out to right center and flied out to shallow left. Anderson, in addition to hitting the 50 home runs this year, also had 92 extra base hits, which is a club record. Not much like a leadoff man with those kind of numbers. There's Mike Hargrove, and he's, I'm sure, keeping a very discerning eye on Nagy right now, as he's up around 100 pitches. In fact, right at 100 pitches. In the left center field. That's in there, base hit. Lofton makes a great play to keep it from bouncing right past him, then makes a wild throw, trying to throw in behind Hoyles. And Nagy again, who is an excellent fielder, showed pretty good quickness getting to that one.
Real good play. If Nagy doesn't back up right there, it could have been a disaster.
Well, Brady went deep to right field his first time up, but figuring Nagy's going to stay away from him, he's gone the other way his last 2 times up. Lofton sees the wide turn by Hoyles, airmails Jeff Kent, but again, Nagy there. So Charles, the best thing he's done today is field his position.
Well, now Mark Wiley is coming out to visit that man, Charles Nagy. Nagy has not had a 3-up and 3-down inning yet today. He has now given up 9 hits in the ball game. And you see Shuey, the right-hander, and Embry, the left-hander, warming up in that Cleveland bullpen. And although the Cleveland bullpen has been a little bit different this year, it is still a real strength for this ball club. It's one of the best bullpens in the league.
Well, Julian Taveras a year ago was the main setup guy. Pitched in 9 out of 12 postseason games with a 2.6 ERA, but he really had a disastrous year, which included a trip to Buffalo. So Mike hasn't had quite that luxury. His main setup guys are Assenmacher and Plunk, but that comes around the 7th or 8th inning, and we're just in the 6th.
Well, Yankee fans know full well the great season by Mariano Rivera up there in New York. Last year, Taveras did that job for Cleveland and did it almost as well. That's how valuable he was. But that was last year. Well, here's Todd Zeile. Zeile 0 for his last 29 to end the year. Today, in the postseason, he's 2 for 3. He just didn't waste them, I guess. 2 men on. 1 man out, and it's ball 1 to Zeile.
Well, Todd's got to look for a ball up here. He is a double play candidate if he hits it on the ground. He wants to try to force Nagy to get the ball up so he can drive it to the outfield.
Nagy in a jam. Zeile at the plate. Roberto Alomar on deck. To the first. And a foul ball comes back out of play. 1-1 now to Todd Zeile. He got an infield hit in the third, starting a 2-run rally. And he got a 2-out single in the fourth. There's also flied out deep to left. Shuey and Embry watching the action from the bullpen. They've been ready now. Only occasionally throwing a pitch. Down and in. 2-1 for Todd Zeile.
Well, again, Davy Johnson has not exercised the running game very much late in the season with all this power. But if you were ever going to do it, Zeile, a pretty good contact hitter. Hoyles doesn't run well, though. Zeile would have to put it in play. Hit and run time.
Slider off the outside. 3-1. Well, that's about as tight a spot as you can get if you're Nagy.
Well, there's no secret now. Nagy definitely has to throw a strike right here. He knows that this could be his last pitch right here if he doesn't.
That is foul. Kept the ball down. Pretty good pitch.
Well, they didn't run 2-1. They didn't run 3-1, and now it's 3-2.
Hargrove, Davy Johnson. Hargrove's wondering about how much longer Nagy can go. Davy Johnson wondering if his ball club can extend its lead. There's Hoyles at second. Anderson at first. The crowd is on its feet now. The runner's not going. Down the line, foul. Hit hard again by Zeile, but foul again. Zeile was the cleanup hitter for the Phillies for the first 5 months of the year and led them in RBIs with 80. So he knows all about RBI situations.
Well, Davey must be afraid of the strikeout with Hoyles at second. Otherwise, he would start him.
He jammed it. Pitch up. Zeile fouled it off again. Still 3-2. I'm wondering if that's because of that forkball. I mean, with that forkball, always a threat to get this strikeout.
Well, in this situation, he knows that if he hits it on the ground, it could be a double play. You got to make him get the ball up. Hopefully, he'll make a mistake here.
Whoa! Nagy can't believe it. He comes storming off the mound after Drew Coble. That was called ball 4. Look at a Hargrove. Doing a slow burn over there in the dugout.
Well, looking like a pretty close pitch.
Whoa. No, Nagy thought it was in there. Hargrove thought it was in there. But Todd Zeile, he took it. Nerves of steel to take that one. And that puts Nagy out of the game. Bases loaded with 1 out. Roberto Alomar coming up. And in from the bullpen. A change for Cleveland. Nagy talking to himself as he leaves.
If more top mechanics.
And only 1 man out for Baltimore here in the 6th inning. Charles Nagy, none too pleased as he left. He actually got into an argument with Drew Coble after being taken out of the game.
Well, this pitch is awfully close. It's not where Alomar catches it. It's where it crosses the plate. And Nagy was already out of the game, but he's just asking Drew. He said, man, I got to have that pitch. And Coble said no, and Hargrove wants to make sure that Nagy doesn't get booted to maybe miss another game.
Roberto Alomar, switch hitter, batting right-handed. Shallow right center. Tagging at third is the slow-footed Hoyles. And the throw comes into shortstop. Hoyles scores. Hoyles, one of the slowest men in the league. And Ramirez with the great arm, and he threw to shortstop. 5-3 Baltimore.
Manny Ramirez leads the American League in assists, but sometimes he makes a lot of mental errors. He's got to know who that runner is at third. Chris Hoyles. The play has to be at the plate.
No doubt about it. He has to know that Chris Hall isn't running there. He has to know who's on base and what are his chances. And he was coming in on the ball right there, and he probably should have threw home. So a little lapse on Manny's part.
So a run is in for Baltimore. 5-3 for the Orioles in the last of the sixth. And here is Palmeiro, the fourth leading RBI man in the league in the regular year. 2 on, 2 out. Oh, now that's the heater.
Yeah, Embry throws pretty hard, Mel. I'll tell you that much.
Anderson still at second base. Seal still at first base. Ramirez made sure they didn't move up. Alan Embry, the hard-throwing lefty, but he really, and just the one pitch, just that good hard fastball. Very high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Palmeiro has faced Embry 4 other times and is 0 for 4 and has struck out twice. See, Palmeiro really had a breakthrough year this year for RBIs. 5-3 Baltimore, last of the sixth. 2 on, 2 out. And it goes to 2 and 1.
Robbie had enough RBIs for 3 guys.
Well, Charles Nagy out of the ball game. The Cleveland A's, he gave up 5 runs, or so far 5. The 2 base runners belong to him. And a high foul that will come back out of play. 2 and 2 to Palmeiro.
As you can see, those nemesis is coming in the shadow in the batter's box, and it makes it that much tougher on the hitter to pick up the spin on the ball once that shadow gets in there. So hitters might have to go to the Curry Puckett theory here and be hacking quite a bit here early in the count. Put the ball in play, because if you fall behind, it's tough to pick up the pitch.
2 and 2. Scouted hitter. The bases are loaded, and Bobby Bonilla is coming up.
I think that was just one that just got away from Embry. I don't think he was trying to hit Robbie right there. Trying to pitch him inside, fastball in, and that one got away from him a little bit.
Well, Mike Hargrove wants to turn Bonilla around, make him bat left-handed, so he will come out and get Embry now.
He's got Paul Shuey, the big right-hander, another hard thrower in the bullpen, so the change is affected. The base is loaded. Bonilla coming up against Shuey. 5-3 Baltimore.
You are unbelievable. To the back row.
Super Sluggers, the amazing new video from Major League Baseball, showcases the record-setting home runs of today's superstars. All the exciting power of Major League Baseball is packed into Super Sluggers, available everywhere. Now, a message from Major League Baseball.
Baltimore 5, Cleveland 3. Last of the sixth inning, game 1 of the best-of-5 series. Paul Shuey, the hard-throwing right-hander, is on the pitch. And he did real well in the regular year. Bobby Bonilla, the hitter, a switch hitter, batting left-handed. A run is in for Baltimore on an ill-advised, almost just totally mysterious throw by Manny Ramirez. And the breaking ball is too high. The base runners, Brady Anderson, who has the only hit of the inning, third base. Zeal, who walked at second base. And Palmeiro, who got hit by a pitch at first base. And Bonilla. He's looked a little over-anxious at times today, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's trying a little bit too much. He's trying to do a little bit too much today. I think a lot of guys are doing that.
He had very good success with the bases loaded this year. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Right outside. 2 and 1. Big moment of this game. Chance for the Orioles to head into the late innings with a more comfortable lead, or for Cleveland to keep it relatively close heading to the late innings. 2 down, 3 men on. That is shot foul. That was 95 miles an hour in the Judd's gun, and he was out in front of it.
Well, just let you know what Bobby's looking for, I guess. Be the biggest pitch of the game right here.
Side taker. Davey Johnson, knowing that a hit here puts the Orioles in great shape. Now it's a full count. 3 and 2, and they'll all be running. And again, the big crowd, as one, rises to its feet. There they go. A high fly ball headed for Utah Street. It's a grand slam. It's 9-3 Baltimore.
Sure it was a strike. It looked like he went down and hit something right above his ankle.
Now Ripken's standing in. The fans wanted to take a bow. Here he comes. A slider to Ripken called a strike, but that was a backbreaker. A grand slam.
The game's opened it up wide now.
And Bonilla getting a call on the phone, and sort of an in-joke with the Orioles. Usually Alan Mills from the bullpen after a big home run calls the dugout and then says it's the White House.
I thought maybe it was David Letterman might have showed him that.
Well, it could be that too. Down the right field line. Extra bases. Ramirez digs it out. A double for Ripken. His third hit.
See on this pitch to Bobby Bonilla, when I first saw it, I thought the ball was just above his ankles. That's not even a strike.
David Jackson in the dugout reacting to it. Trying hard not to get too excited. And then Bobby Bo. He's always excited.
Bobby's one of them guys. He's just happy to be here.
Mike Hargrove had a decision to make. Bobby Bonilla was hitting .303 with 10 homers, batting right-handed, .280, 18 homers left-handed, with a lot more at-bats left-handed. Most people feel Bonilla is a better right-handed hitter. He turned him around. It didn't work.
Here's Eddie Murray. Ripken at second, 2 down. Ball 1. Well, the home run ball. That was the Orioles' favorite weapon of the year. They've given David Wells a 6-run lead with which to work now. 3 home runs for Baltimore, including the grand slam. Murray fouls it back out of play, and he was going downtown with that one, but fouled it back. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Orioles hit 11 grand slams this year, and Bonilla hit one of those. But now he's got the big one here in the postseason. Murray standing right at the edge of the shadows. And the slider, and he got a piece of it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But in this inning, I mean, you had the crazy throw by Ramirez. How much has that cost? I mean, if he throws out Hoyles at the plate,
the inning's over.
The inning's over. Then the big call that put Nagy out of the game. He thought he had Zeal struck out. Drew Coble thought otherwise. And so it goes for Cleveland. Nagy gets charged with 7 of the runs. And Murray's down on strikes. That's all for Baltimore. 9 men back. 5 of them scored. 4 on 1 swing of Bobby Bonilla's bat. 9-3 Baltimore. And we head to the 7th inning. ESPN's coverage of the 1996 Division Series playoffs is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. John Miller, Dave Campbell, Kirby Puckett from Baltimore, and the Orioles with a 5-run 6th inning now have taken a 9-3 lead over Cleveland as we head to the 7th inning. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, they're getting ready to play ball there. The Padres and the Cardinals. Ricky Henderson on the left, Ken Caminiti on the right. The Padres, the winners of the West against the winners of the Central. Game 1 in St. Louis. That's coming up at 4:25. And a reminder, especially for you Padres and Cardinal fans, when game time comes, it will be picked up right at first pitch on ESPN2. The Deuce will be picking that one up with live coverage from the first pitch because it's very likely this ball game will still be well in progress. We're just starting the 7th inning. Sandy Alomar singled home run his last time, and he is 1 for 2, facing David Wells. Alomar standing in the shadows of the late afternoon. The shortstop, Cal Ripken. And there's one away. David Wells has retired 9 Cleveland Indians in a row since Alomar singled home run in the 4th inning.
John, also, we talk about keys to the game and, you know, what Wells has done. The first 5 hitters in the Cleveland lineup, all 300 hitters plus, have gone 2 for 15 against him. A single by Jeff Kent, or excuse me, it's Kevin Seitzer in the 1st inning, a ground ball, and a single by Jim Thome. That's been it for the first 5 hitters in the Cleveland lineup.
Now, Vizquel. Yeah, all 3 of the runs have been produced by the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters. Vizquel drove in a run, the last Cleveland run. That was in the 4th inning with a sacrifice fly. He's also walked. He's not yet had an official at bat. A switch hitter batting right-handed. Fastball to the knees, called a strike. Now the Baltimore bullpen is working because David Wells is closing in on 100 pitches.
A lot of people felt the key to Cleveland, Jack McDowell, was going to have to be important. That takes on more importance now with Nagy having a tough first game.
It's a ball inside. 2-1. In the bullpen, right-handed Terry Matthews, acquired from the Florida Marlins in the summertime. And the left-hander, the veteran Jesse Orozco, still pitching after all these many years. 2-1 the count. There's a shot in the left field. Surhoff, he tried to barehand it. That ball is now out of play. Came down in play, hit the rubberized warning track, and spun right back up into the seats.
A lot of people, I didn't play much outfield, Kirby, but a lot of people say the ball hit directly over your head is one of the toughest.
Yeah, that's what they say as an outfielder. But for me, the line drive right at you was the hardest one to judge. But this was a hard one, too, especially when you're playing in. BJ tried to catch that ball barehanded.
Tried to do a Kevin Mitchell.
Oh, man, that was a very nice try right there. But he's playing kind of shallow, and that's a tough ball to catch right there once it's over your head. He almost caught it.
So a double for Vizquel. And that's the lady who actually did catch the ball, Kirby, and it was a barehanded catch. So she got a souvenir of the division series, and here is Kenny Lofton, one of those key Cleveland hitters, and Wells has kept him off the base paths entirely. He's 0 for 3. He hasn't even reached on a force out. Struck out, flied to shallow left, and lined hard to the shortstop. One out runner at second.
We said if you want to beat Cleveland, you definitely have to keep that catalyst off the bases. And so far, Wells has been able to do that with Kenny. But you know Kenny, he's going to be heard from sooner or later. So it's just a fact of just holding him down as far as you can. And then hopefully when he does get hot and get on base and start stealing bases and interrupting everything, that it'll be too late, hopefully.
Now, Wells threw 78 pitches the first 4 innings. But then he threw only 9 in the 5th inning, only 6 in the 6th inning. And now he's thrown 7 more in this inning. So Wells, who labored hard the first 4 innings, has simplified since then.
Well, his team also hit for a long time at the bottom of the 6th and gave him a chance to get a second win.
A long rest. The Orioles scored 5 runs in the 6th inning. 2 explosive ball clubs, but it's been the Orioles who've done most of the exploding so far today. There goes Vizquel, and Hoyles drops the ball anyway. I don't think it mattered. He was in there. 1-1 to Lofton.
Wells not paying much attention, and Omar said, well, if we're going to come back at this thing, we're going to have to start chipping away at this lead. If he gives me the base, I'm going to take it.
Zeal shallow at third for Lofton. Now, Lofton backs away. You see he's standing in the shadows, but looking out into that bright sunshine.
I think Wells is probably on a pretty short leash right now. They got 6 great innings out of him, and I don't think Davy Johnson will wait too long.
That'll get a run home. Palmero to Wells' cover. He got there too late. Kenny Lofton gets the infield hit and a run batted in. And Wells Got there a little bit late.
Yeah, he didn't break right away. That's what you're taught as a pitcher. Anytime the ball's hit to the right side to break over, and Wells didn't, he hesitated for a while, and with Kenny Lofton running, you can't hesitate.
Well, again, Wells falls off a little bit towards third base, and just that little bit with Lofton's speed looked like Wells was trying to tag Lofton or the base. Well, that's a good call by Greg Cosman. Maybe Wells should have just gone for the base and tried to tag that. He couldn't. The throw was back. Good call, easily and safely.
So it's 9-4. Now, these two clubs had a game earlier this year in Cleveland. In fact, the last time they played. And the Orioles took a 13-10 lead into the 8th inning and won the ball game 13-10. Here is Kevin Seitzer. He is singled to left, grounded to third, and struck out. The ball game, Cleveland ended up scoring 6 times in the bottom of the 9th inning. And David Wells was the starting pitcher that day. Went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, and then the bullpen had a few problems in the last 3 innings that day.
This goes to show you everybody has bad days every now and then.
Except you.
Yeah. Don't I only wish. I used to smile all the time, so you know if I was having a bad day or a good day. It's called camouflage.
Kevin Seitzer, 1 for 3 in the game. Jim Thome on deck. Lofton at first, on base for the first time today. And he's back again. Now, one thing too, Dave, you're mentioning about Wells. If the Orioles go through with their plan to use 3 starting pitchers, and we'd be due back in game 4 with 3 days rest. So they'd like to keep him from extending himself too much in this game.
A little surprised that they're still staying with him with all the right-handed hitters coming up right now, and the fact, you know, you would think, David, well, he's a left-hander, he can keep Lofton closer, but runner's 26 for 30 against David Wells when he's on the mound, so that means that he apparently doesn't have a real good move.
Well, he's got that slow, deliberate leg kick. He looks at you, and then all of a sudden he lifts his leg real slow. Everything is real slow, so if you guess right.
That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Seitzer.
Slipped the old slide step on him, though.
As soon as I said that, he slide stepped on me, so it just goes to show you.
47,644 is the paid crowd today at Camden Yards. And that's a foul out of play. Of course, the Cleveland Indians, every game they played at home this year was a sellout. The whole season sold out at Jacobs Field. Camden Yards, not sold out every game, but most of the time.
Indians working on 131 consecutive sellouts, and because they lost the game at home this year to rain, which they didn't have to make up with Seattle, now the Rockies are the current record, 132 consecutive sellouts.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and Lofton back to the back again. The Orioles ahead 9-4. We're in the top of the 7th inning. Baltimore got 5 runs in the 6th. Cleveland has come back with 1 so far here in the 7th. 9 runs, 11 hits for Baltimore, 4 runs, 8 hits for Cleveland. Kevin Seitzer, the hitter. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. Wells bluffing Lofton back. Jim Thome, a big left-handed hitter, is on deck. I'm guessing that's why Wells is still in there.
Yep.
To stay in through Thome.
Only 3 for 17 lifetime against Wells.
Cut fastball inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Seitzer. There's Thome.
Let me go out on a limb here and make a brilliant prediction. David Wells will not face Albert Bell in this inning one way or the other.
It's a brave prediction.
Yeah, thank you.
2-2 to Seitzer.
Get paid the big bucks for making those kind of observations.
And that's foul. John Miller, Kirby Puckett, Dave Campbell from Camden Yards in Baltimore. We want to welcome everyone watching on ESPN2. We're in the 7th inning here. Cleveland 4. And we'll be with you here from Baltimore until we take you to St. Louis on ESPN2 for the beginning of the Cardinals-Padres game. Lofton is running. It hits Wells in the foot, and Palmeiro will get the tag out on Seitzer. It's not the way they work on it in the spring, I'll tell you that.
What's that goalie's name from Denver? Patrick?
Wow.
Kick save and a beauty.
David Wells. Well, Davy Johnson will head out. Now, Richie Bancells, the trainer, is out there with Wells.
Well, David certainly doesn't do it with his glove, but with that follow-through, it hits him right in the foot. And the Orioles catch a break as it caroms right to Palmeiro, and Seitzer's out.
Just falling off the mound does help you sometimes.
I guess. David, now they're concerned about an injury. I don't know exactly where it got him on the lower leg, but maybe in the ankle.
A little higher than the ankle, I think. Not chin, but just maybe on the side a little bit. I know it hurt. That's all I know.
Well, it was hit sharply by Seitzer.
Davy's saying, you know, I got Tomei. Can you give me one more guy? But boy, the way that David's walking, I don't know. Davy Johnson's already made the call.
He's signaling the bullpen for Orozco, and Wells will limp off alongside Richie Bancells. Wells goes 6 2/3 before departing, tipping his cap to the crowd.
The legendary Chalice of Malta is never...
Soon you'll be able to know immediately if statements like these are true. Mr. Gullible. ESPN News Network, the 24-hour sports news network from ESPN. Who else?
ESPN's coverage of the 1996 Major League Baseball Division Series. Continuing from Baltimore, I'm John Miller with Kirby Puckett and Dave Campbell. Camden Yards, Baltimore. The Orioles ahead 9-4 in the top of the 7th inning. We also are being visited right now by our viewers on ESPN2. And at 4:25, we'll be taking you on ESPN2 to St. Louis for the Cardinals and Padres. And, of course, when this ball game is over, ESPN will join that telecast as well. So we've got you covered on ESPN today as the Division Series begins tonight at 8 o'clock. NBC will have Game 1 of the Yankees and the Rangers from Yankee Stadium. Jesse Orozco in to face Jim Thome. And a foul ball. Strike one, and Orozco almost surely in here just to face the one-hitter with a string of right-handed batters coming up next. Thome had been decent against the lefties, but still you'd rather have a lefty facing.
Davy Johnson's really got the hammer right now. A 5-run lead. He's got 8 guys deep in the bullpen. He can do matchups left and right. He's got 2 more lefties after Orozco. Probably in his wildest dreams, he didn't think he'd have a 5-run lead in the 7th.
And he hits Thome.
Davy's going, oops.
That wasn't the plan. That gets the inning to Albert Bell. And Albert, of course, is well capable of moving Cleveland right back into this game again.
No doubt about it.
Well, we talked about Thome standing right on the plate. That one hit him just above the elbow. And Davy wants the right-hander, so he's going to start maneuvering.
So first Wells injured. Orozco in, but unable to get his man. Terry Matthews, the right-hander, will now come on to face Albert Bell. It'll be back. We'll be able to see it from pitch number 1 on ESPN2. Then we'll be going to it here on ESPN. Then tonight, the Rangers and the Yankees from Yankee Stadium. And that will be seen on NBC. And there's Terry Matthews. He's with the Florida Marlins and then acquired by the Orioles in a trade. And really helped solidify their bullpen. They lost Roger McDowell, a veteran right-hander, to injury. And Matthews kind of came in and filled that gap for them. Well, he's got a big job ahead of him now, trying to keep the Orioles well ahead here. What do you think, Kirby? I mean, this guy, Albert Bell, you better make some good pitches to him with 2 men on, Lofton at second, and Thome at first.
Definitely has to make good pitches to Albert right here, else it's going to be 9-7. Or, 9-6 or whatever it's going to be. But he has to be careful with Albert and hope that Albert hasn't seen any films of him or anything yet, and he can't go look at anything, because right now, if he makes a mistake, Albert can hurt him.
Well, Albert is 0 for 3 today. He has not been able to get the ball out of the infield. He has faced Matthews in the past. Matthews used to be with the Texas Rangers a few years back. Albert 0 for 3. Of course, Albert was a different hitter himself a few years back. So Cleveland, with just the man they want up there when they're trying to get back into a ball game. Lofton at second, Tomey at first. 2 down, 7th inning. And the runners will advance. First pitch from Matthews. He missed a little bit, just a bit outside.
Yeah, I tell you, he's going to make sure that first one didn't end up in the left field seats. But right now, the Orioles have to stem the tide. Albert Bell knows that now a base hit can get his club back within 3 with 2 full innings plus this inning to go. No chance for Hoyles on that one. He didn't do a real good job of shifting. This is a key out in the ball game for the Orioles and for Albert Bell. A chance to get his team squarely back in this one.
48 homers, 148 runs battered in. And he took a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, one thing I know for sure, if you were up there, Hack, you wouldn't have taken that pitch.
That one? No way.
Well, why did he take it?
Well, Albert, he likes to see a lot of pitches when he hits sometimes. Like to see maybe picking up a location from the release point from the pitcher, or just trying to see what he has. He's seen his breaking ball in the dirt and his fastball so far.
There's another fastball. Ripken with a great pick. And he throws him out. If that one scoots past him, 2-run score, and the inning is still going. Albert Bell hit a shot, and Ripken was able to snare it. The Indians get just the one. 9-4 Baltimore. We go to the last of the 7th. We'll be back. A fine play by Cal Ripken to retire Albert Bell. Now the Orioles up against Paul Shuey. B.J. Surhoff, who led off the 6th inning, hitting a comebacker to Charles Nagy. That was the last man Nagy retired. That's a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That was so far away, so long ago, I forgot all about it.
Well, Nagy faced 29 hitters in this game, and 13 of them reached base against him. Very unusual. He gave up 7 runs, charged to his record, and 9 hits in only 5 1/3 innings. Surhoff drives one deep toward the center field bleachers. Another home run. His 2nd of the game. The Orioles' 4th as a team. The most prolific home run hitting team of all time. And now they're showing everyone here in the postseason. 10-4 Orioles.
DJ goes down, gets one about knee-high, and just golfs it into the stands. And Mike Hargrove can only shake his head.
We measure that one, 413 feet. It was up there with plenty to spare. Chris Hoyles takes ball 1. Surhoff hit a home run August the 18th and did not hit another home run until September the 28th, just this past Saturday. Now we're into the postseason. He's got 2 in 1 game. His first postseason game. He never made it with Milwaukee.
BJ's enjoying this. See, I think the older guys appreciate this a little bit more. See, when you play for so long and haven't had a chance to get in the postseason.
With Cleveland coming back in the 7th inning, scoring a run, the Orioles just send them a message. Sorry, this isn't going to be your day. That was a huge play by Ripken, though, at the end of the inning. Cal's the only guy I know that can backhand a short hop and look like he had it all the way. Most guys would go, oh, look at this. Look at this present I found. Looked like Cal knew he had it all the way.
From my experience playing over here, it seems like everywhere I hit the ball, everywhere anybody hit the ball, Cal was standing right there. So Cal, he knows exactly where to stand. There's no doubt about it. You hit the ball hard as you can. He catches everything.
Hoyles drives one, left center, but Bell is there. And that's out number 1. Don't forget, now tomorrow afternoon, Game 2 of this series right here in Baltimore. But still to come today, it'll be Joey Hamilton and the Padres, Todd Stottlemyre and the Cardinals. And it'll be starting in just a few minutes, and you'll be able to see it beginning from the first pitch on ESPN2. We'll bring you the rest of this ball game on ESPN, and then ESPN will then take you to the Padres-Cardinals game as well. 1 ball, no strikes to Brady Anderson. Robert Bell, and that is out number 2. Anderson now 2 for 5. He sort of set the tempo of the day for the Orioles, leading off the game, the first man to bat for the Orioles in the postseason in 13 years, and he hit a home run, and they've been hitting them ever since. 4 homers in the game for Baltimore.
There's nothing new around here, man. A lot of home runs were hit around here this year. If you're fortunate to live in Baltimore and watch these guys play, and they hit a lot of home runs, and they're continuing that today.
Here's Todd Zeile. Zeile takes ball 1. Another one of those veteran guys, Kirby, who finished the year in a real big slump. He's got 2 hits and a walk today, including the controversial walk. Charles Nagy thought he had him struck out in the 6th inning. B.J. Surhoff, a couple of homers. Cal Ripken, 3 hits. Bobby Bonilla, the grand slam.
You don't know who's going to be the hero. He'll show up.
And Sicker in there for a strike. Well, Kirby Puckett is here with us, and we're glad to have you, Kirby. But I know somebody very special to you is missing you today.
Yeah, my wife Tanya, and today's little Kirby's birthday, so he's 4 years old. So I want to say hi to little Kirby and happy birthday, and hi to my daughter Catherine, and hi to Tanya and the rest of my family.
All right, the Pucketts who are gathered around the television set.
Not anymore. Now that I just said hi. Well, he's scattered out of there now.
Time to go outside and play.
Yeah, probably. They've been waiting for that all day.
Okay, kids. Take off. 3-1. And 3-2 to Zeile. Well, this, we were talking about it earlier. This Cleveland bullpen was such a great source of strength last year. This year, the bullpen was very good, but this is not the kind of thing that happened to Cleveland last year. And they went to that bullpen, and that bullpen shut you down.
Last year, in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, they gave up the fewest runs in the major leagues. Not true this year.
Well, this time, Zeile gets called out. Strike 3. We're going to the 8th inning. Franco, then Ramirez coming up. 10-4 Baltimore.
Girl, did you see today's paper?
Postseason game. Here's Matthews giving up a base hit to center field to Julio Franco, the 5th place hitter. And that's only the first hit for him and only the 4th for those top 5 hitters. There's Mark Parent now catching for Baltimore, replacing Hoyles. And now Manny Ramirez will come up. 10-4, the Orioles on top in the 8th inning. Now 4 home runs in the ball game for the Orioles. And that is not very common in the postseason. In the history of the American League Championship Series, and of course this is not the Championship Series, this is the new divisional series. The Championship Series began in 1969. Bobby Bonilla has one of the Orioles' 4 homers today, a grand slam. Surhoff's got 2, and of course Brady Anderson had 1. But in the ALCS, only 3 teams have ever hit as many as 4 home runs in a game. The Orioles won 1971, and Oakland did it in 73 against Baltimore, and again in the game in 74 against Baltimore. And no team has done it since then, but now the Orioles have done it here in a divisional series game. Ramirez with Cleveland's only home run. Fastball in there for a strike. 1-1 the count.
Of course, they have records, but with only 1 division series under our belt, this is year 2 of the great experiment. I'll tell you one thing about Cleveland, Terry Matthews better keep making quality pitches, because these guys are going to start hammering if they see pitches in the middle of the plate.
Both bullpens are busy as Matthews goes to work on Ramirez. And the curveball, no one outside. 2-1.
Orel Hershiser, Scott Erickson. Erickson's been the Orioles' best pitcher down the stretch. His last 6 starts have been terrific. So the Indians, if they don't come back and rally in this one, have a big task ahead of them tomorrow.
2-1 to Ramirez. He's 2 for 3 today. Fastball, base hit. Back-to-back singles for Cleveland here in the 8th inning. Surhoff throws behind Franco back into second base to Roberto Alomar. 3rd hit of the game for Ramirez. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock here on ESPN. Oral Hershiser 15-9 and Scott Erickson 13-12, but he did win 5 of his last 6 decisions. So that will be tomorrow, 1 o'clock right here on ESPN, Game 2. And if this score holds up, and with this Cleveland lineup, we know we're a long way from knowing how this one's going to turn out yet. Although the Orioles certainly like their chances as Jeff Kent comes up. But if the Orioles win this one, really a must-win for Cleveland tomorrow. I mean, Seattle did it last year, fell behind 2 games to none. But generally speaking, in a best of 5, you lose the first 2, you're on your way out.
Terry Matthews not fooling anybody. 2 hits here and a rocket that ripped him. Grab last inning.
Roberto Alomar. The infield fly is finally called. Yes, Alomar catches it anyway. So Kent is now 1 for 4. The runners hold. Franco at second. Ramirez at first. And that will bring up Sandy Alomar.
I don't see him up. Maybe they're going to pinch hit for him as Alomar is down in the dugout. Is this Brian Giles maybe coming up?
Brian Giles comes up out of the dugout. A young and real strong left-handed hitter. You get a chance to see him, Kirby, at all?
Yeah, I think Aguilera, I think when I was in Minnesota, and I think he hit a grand slam or something off Aggie. I think he mentioned him that year.
He's not a real big guy, but he's real solid.
He's real solid. He can hit the ball a long way, so pretty strong little kid.
He hit .355 for Cleveland after being caught up in the minor leagues in 121 at-bats.
Davy Johnson saw enough of him, too. He went 13 for 20 against the Orioles, and Davy's on his way out. He's not going to let him hit against the right-hander.
Last time the Orioles saw Giles, he was hitting about .470 for the year, and mostly against them. Well, Arthur Rhodes, who has only pitched 1 time since early August, has gotten the call. 2 on, 1 out, and we'll be back.
To pop up to third, then facing Tony Gwynn with a 1-1 count. Gwynn doubles into the right field corner in his first postseason game since 1984. Stottlemyre has hit Finley. He's facing Caminetti with 2 aboard and 1 out in the opening inning. We'll keep you posted. We'll take you there as soon as things conclude in Camden Yards. Right now, back to John Nolan.
All right, Gary. That is indeed what will happen. As soon as this ball game is over, we'll take you to Busch Stadium for the Padres and the Cardinals. And in the meanwhile, we will keep you posted as to the goings-on there. Right now, we're in downtown Baltimore near the Inner Harbor, Camden Yards. And the Orioles are leading the Cleveland Indians 10-4. But Cleveland with 2 men on and 1 man out with the powerful Brian Giles coming up against that man, Arthur Rhodes, Kirby.
Arthur Rhodes can be tough, man. He's another one of these hard-throwing guys here. We got a lot of hard throwers on both sides here today. And Arthur Rhodes throws about 90-some miles an hour fastball and a good slider. I mean, he's not deceptive like a Jesse Orozco has a lot of motion or anything. I mean, he just comes right at you straight and hard and got a good slider to go with it.
So Arthur Rhodes with 2 men on, 1 man out. Franco at second base, Ramirez at first. Giles, a .355 hitter in limited duty after being called up in the minor leagues. And it's ball 1, 93 miles an hour on the Jugs gun there with that reading. Now, Arthur Rhodes got injured and was put on the disabled list in early August and was thought lost for the season. And he came back in late September, and the idea was that maybe he could be strong enough to face 1 hitter in the postseason. And this is the idea. This is the hitter. And most likely, after facing Giles, he'll be out of there. Although, if he gets him out quickly, they might leave him in. You got the switch hitting Vizquel and another lefty, Lofton. But Davy Johnson knows that Arthur has no stamina whatsoever. I mean, he sat out for nearly 2 months. Pitched 1 time since then. That was 2/3 of an inning in the Sky Dome on Sunday. 1-2 now to Giles.
Well, Mike Hargrove, I'm sure, knew that Davy Johnson was going to go to the left-hander, but Giles hitting .364 against the lefties, and he might also have looked up the number that Rhodes gave up 6 home runs this year, all to left-handed batters.
Two men on, 1 man out in the 8th inning. And that misses. 2-2 now. Both bullpens are busy again. Randy Myers, the Orioles closer, is warming up, the veteran left-hander. And the Cleveland bullpen is also busy now. Julian Tavares, the right-hander, warming up for them. Strike 3 call. Out number 2, and here's an update now from Gary Miller.
John at Bush, Todd Stottlemyre in a jam. 2 aboard, Gwynn double. Finley hit with a pitch, 2-2 count. The potential MVP, Ken Caminiti. He loves the changeup, and he struck him out, then got Jordan a ground out. Leaves 2 aboard, and the Cardinals come to bat in the bottom of the first. Back to you.
All right, Gary. Great pitching there by Stottlemyre to get out of the jam. Now Arthur Rhodes trying to get out of the jam here. 2 men on, 2 men out. Omar Vizquel, the hitter. In the dirt, knocked down by Parent, the new catcher. It is 1 ball and no strikes. Right field really becomes a difficult sun field now. Bobby Bonilla, the Orioles right fielder, holding the glove up in front of his face, shading the eyes before every pitch.
Yeah, fly balls can be pretty tough for a right fielder right now.
See the reading on the jugs gun there. 92 miles an hour. Rhodes did a very good job for the Orioles out of the bullpen, coming in, sometimes throwing 2, 3, 4 innings at a time. He was 9-1 for them in that role. Vizquel has not been retired except for a sacrifice fly today. Rhodes with a changeup there. And it is 2-1. You ever seen him throw a changeup before, Kirby?
Oh, not many. He usually throws just a lot of fastballs and a little slider, but he's got a great arm, and I think he might have found his niche out there in the bullpen. Did a great job for the Orioles this year.
2 out, 2 on. 2-1 the count. Zeal right at the bat, and that is the inning. We're going to the last of the 8th. Roberto Alomar, Rafael Palmeiro, Bobby Bonilla due up 10-4 Baltimore.
Huge over the years. All kinds of spin-offs have been created. There's been Sports Center, the Saturday morning cartoon.
Hi, I'm Keith Olbermann. Hi, I'm Dan Patrick. Welcome to The Big Show.
Sports Center, the concept album, and who could forget Sports Center, the movie.
Dan,
But I'm not like the other sportscasters. You make me feel in fuego.
Billy.
Camden Yards 10-4. The Orioles leading the Cleveland Indians. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent, I assume, of the office of the Commissioner of Baseball. Julian Tavares on to pitch now, and Roberto Alomar will be leading it off for the Orioles. Again, the umpires arrived today about 10 minutes before 1 o'clock with no agreement with baseball. No injunction was gotten by baseball in court, but they did at least agree that the umpires would work the first 2 days of the playoffs and that they would move up a hearing on Roberto Alomar's status to Thursday. The umpires could still walk out after that hearing is finished, I guess, if they don't like the result. But the umpires are here, so we got a late start. We didn't start till 25 after 1. And now the Orioles are ahead 10-4 as Roberto Alomar faces Julian Tavares. He was just outstanding out of that Cleveland bullpen last year, Dave.
Well, a lot of speculation he wasn't going to be on the postseason roster, a late addition, and they took Albie Lopez and Kent Merker. They got down between Tavares and those 2 guys.
Vizquel got him. Back in the 6th inning, the Orioles with a 5-run rally. There were some big plays in that inning that could have made it otherwise. Todd Zeal was batting with 1 out and 2 men on. And this pitch called ball 4 instead of strike 3. That loaded the bases. Then this fly ball by Roberto Alomar. And Manny Ramirez, instead of throwing home against the slow-footed Hoyles, inexplicably threw it to shortstop as Hoyles scored. Keeping the inning going for Bobby Bonilla. and he launched one, a grand slam, and that made it a 5-run inning. The score then was 9-3 for the Orioles, and of course it could have been much, much different. The throw by Ramirez alone, had he thrown home, probably would have ended the inning with just a 1-run Baltimore lead. Instead, 5 runs ended up scoring. Palmeiro is 1 for 3, an RBI double. Has also been hit by a pitch and scored a run. And the count goes to 2-0. Tony Pena is now catching for Cleveland, replacing Alomar, who had been lifted for a pinch hitter. 10-4 Baltimore, last of the 8th inning. Bobby Bonilla is on deck. What a changeup, good pitch.
It's a little changeup. Welcome to the American League.
I saw you frowning over there. You look disgusted.
Well, 2-0 usually you're looking for something to drive. You're not looking for a changeup, you know.
Yeah,
but
he's supposed to throw what you're looking for, right?
Well, that's Tony Pena catching, though. He goes against all odds.
Palmeiro lifts it foul and out of play. 2-2 the count. There's Orel Hershiser. He'll be starting tomorrow. Of course, Orel has always had great success in the postseason. I mean, he's just been at his very best in the biggest ball games, and it will be huge for Cleveland tomorrow if they lose this game.
He's going to have to be huge tomorrow, too, if they're going to stay in this thing, if they don't win today.
Palmeiro swings and misses. Strike 3. 2 down. We've got an update from St. Louis with Gary Miller.
John, the Cardinals come to bat. Ron Gannon been hit by a pitch by Joey Hamilton. With Clayton aboard, McGee grounds into the double play. McGee, of course, playing for Langford. Gant is now on after being hit by a pitch. In the bottom of the first, we take you back to Baltimore.
All right, Gary. And we'll be going to that ball game as soon as this one is over. Bobby Bonilla had a nice ovation. He didn't look all that good in his earlier at-bats. He also made an ill-advised throw from the outfield. And then in the 6th inning, all was forgiven. A grand slam to break the game open. 2-0 to Bonilla.
Just to go back to the Nagy pitch to Zeal, we did a breakdown on Baseball Tonight about a month ago, and what we did eliminated the DH in the American League and the pitcher in the National League, so we would just have the 8 position players. 400 more walks in the American League, 1,000 more strikes in the National League. I can't believe the pitching's that much better in the National League. I really think the National League umpires have a more liberal strike zone.
Well, it could be. I mean, the National League has its umpires. The American League has a whole different set. There's ball 4 to Bonilla. A 2-out walk. Second time he's walked in this game, and that will bring up Cal Ripken, who has 3 hits today.
One thing you hear more than anything else from players and veteran baseball observers is especially strike 3. The American League umpires seem more reluctant to punch out guys, especially if they're superstars. Any count?
Come on now. I don't believe that.
Bobby Bonilla is leaving the game now. Mike Devereaux will go in to run for him over at first base. Very common for Davey Johnson to bring in Devereaux as a defensive replacement for Bonilla late in ball games in which the Orioles are ahead. There's Devereaux. He was the MVP of the National League Championship Series for Atlanta last year. Back in Baltimore. Here's Cal Ripken. 2 singles and a double and a run batted in. Vizquel and Kent gets the put out on Devereaux at second. Now we go to the 9th inning. The top of the order for Cleveland. Last chance. Lofton, Seitzer, Tomey. 10-4 the Orioles.
So over the Geraniums, a 3-run poke. He had 6 home runs against San Diego during the regular season. The Cardinals burst out to a 3-0 lead.
John Miller with Kirby Puckett and Dave Campbell from Camden Yards in Baltimore. Right after this ball game, we'll take you to St. Louis for the Padres and the Cardinals. Game 1 from Busch Stadium, which is already underway. Here it is 10-4 for the Orioles, and the Indians' leadoff man, Kenny Lofton, comes up against the new Baltimore pitcher, Randy Myers, and that is in there for a strike. Lofton is 1 for 4 with an RBI. Randy Myers, the veteran closer, 4-4, 31 saves for the year. A lot of strikeouts this year. Myers in 58 2/3 innings had 74 strikeouts. B.J. Surhoff A day to remember for Surhoff. His first postseason game. Kind of a day you dream of in the postseason, isn't it?
It's kind of the day you dream of any time, during the season, any time, but especially during this time. That makes it feel more special. Like I said, BJ hasn't been around in the postseason ever, so this is his first time, and he just wants to show people how excited he is.
2 home runs. He made a very fine catch. There's Mike Devereaux, by the way, now in the ball game in right field. He made a fine catch and a ball hit by Thome back in the 5th inning out in left center. Here's his former teammate Seitzer, also in his first postseason game. He is 1 for 4. Well, tomorrow, it looks like a must-win situation for Cleveland. Although, if they win tomorrow, the whole series shifts to Cleveland, to Jacobs Field, and the Orioles have never played well there. They beat Cleveland twice the last time they were in there, breaking a 10-game losing streak at the Jake. And Mike Hargrove and his ball club, they didn't play as well at the Jake this year as they did last year. But they've always got to feel good when they're playing there.
Indians have it so well set up if they can advance. I mean, they have a possibility. If the playoffs and World Series and Division Series were to go the full 19 games, 5, 7, and 7, they would have 11 games out of that at home. Last year, they had to go to Atlanta for the World Series, but this year it's set up perfectly for them, but they've got to get past this first round.
Last year, in the divisional series, Cleveland played the Boston Red Sox, a divisional winner themselves. And they swept the Red Sox in 3 games, although Boston played them pretty tough. One game went to extra innings. That's a foul. Tony Pena won it finally with a dramatic home run for Cleveland. They had to get past Roger Clemens in another ball game. But they swept the Red Sox. But now, a year later, facing the wild card team, and the Orioles have put it to them today. 4 homers. They lead 10-4. Jack McDowell would be scheduled to go in Game 1 in Cleveland against his old Stanford mate, Mike Messina, the Orioles ace, a 19-game winner.
Two smart guys going at it.
How'd you hit against those smart guys?
I don't know. They're both tough. I just thank God I don't play baseball anymore. Let's put it that way.
From what we've heard from you today, you must have hit about 190. Strike 3 call.
3-2 slider.
Seitzer figures with a 6-run lead, he's just going to challenge, throw a strike, and Randy dropped something on him.
Right after the game, we'll take you to St. Louis. The Padres and Cardinals, they're already underway. Stay tuned for that tonight at 8 o'clock. The Rangers and the Yankees Game 1 on NBC. Strike 1 to Thome. And the fans at Camden Yards, without a postseason game at all in 13 years, are savoring this one. Everyone on their feet now in anticipation of the final out. 1-1 the count. David Wells, 6 2/3 innings. He left ahead. It's his game to win. Charles Nagy, not the sharp Charles Nagy we're used to seeing. Two and 1 the count.
John, obviously the 4 home runs, the grand slam by Bonilla big, but David Wells, he kept the first 5 hitters in the lineup to a 3 for 17. He retired the first batter in an inning 6 out of 7 times. He gave the Orioles a lot more than maybe they were to expect.
And now, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Thome, 2 down in the 9th inning. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock. It looks like a must-win situation for Cleveland. They don't want to go home down 2 games to none. Cal Ripken and the Orioles and Cleveland again tomorrow right here on ESPN at 1 o'clock. Struck him out. And Game 1 goes to Baltimore. David Wells wins it. Nagy the loser. Surhoff a couple of home runs. Bonilla the grand slam. The Orioles now with a big ball game tomorrow. Must win for Cleveland. We'll see you tomorrow at 1. John Miller for Kirby Puckett and Dave Campbell. So long from Baltimore. The Orioles win it 10-4.
All right, Gary, thank you.